One on the calendar, no matter Freer versus Freer.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Freer, the defendant is your stepson.
Yes.
How long were you married to his father?
20 years.
Did he live with you during any of that period of time?
Not until recently. He lived with his mother. We saw him until he was 5 years old, and then she basically stole him. And we didn't see him again until he was 18.
Well, your lawsuit says that there came a time when your stepson rented a house from you and your husband. It was a house that you and your husband owned. It was a rental property.
Yes.
And he was supposed to pay rent. He did for a while, then he sort of fell off with the rent. He also was using a car that belonged to who, you or your husband?
Myself.
And your husband, unfortunately, passed away this past summer. And when you went to the rental property, found that he had moved out, and the place was totally trashed.
Yes, it was.
And the car was likewise totally trashed.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want him to pay for that.
He should.
And his defense seems to be that if he had a debt to take care of the house, not the rent, just the condition of the house and the car, the debt was with his father, not with you. And when his father passed away, the debt vanished. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes.
You don't really believe that, do you?
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything funny. I guarantee you that by the time you're finished here, you will not be laughing. How old are you?
26.
How do you support yourself?
I work.
Doing what?
I install glass in buildings.
When did you move into this rental property?
A couple of years ago.
Tell me when. Don't be smart and don't be smug. Are you a drug addict or an alcoholic?
I was.
When?
Back when I was living there.
Really? Both drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
See, I was being sort of facetious because I was going to say you had to be on drugs or alcohol or else you would know how many years ago you moved into this house. So you were an alcohol abuser and a drug abuser.
Yes.
While you were living in the house?
Yes.
Are you still abusing drugs and alcohol?
No.
Did you go into rehab?
No.
You mean you just stopped?
Yeah.
You want to tell me how you did that and when?
Back in February of this year, I was stabbed and
By a stranger?
kind of. I really didn't know him. I was just partying with him.
So you were in the hospital for a while?
Yeah, well, just like one night. It wasn't really that bad. It was stabbed in the back. It just like punctured my lung, just a little.
And?
And after that, my dad had a stroke and stuff, so I just kind of figured I need to start changing my life.
Well, that's a very good thing that you figured you had what we call in the trade an epiphany, a life-altering experience, a wake-up call, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Don't be smart with me. I don't think you're cute. Now, if you have what we call an epiphany, a mind and a life-altering experience, that usually says you want to start doing the right thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And when you were living in this rental property, you stopped paying rent because you were putting up your nose or in your veins or whatever you were earning, so you stopped paying rent, correct?
Correct.
And you stopped paying for the care of this car, correct?
Correct.
Then you had this experience. Don't you think that you should go back to your old life and say, I have to make certain amends for things that I did, like trashing this house?
No.
Why not?
My dad never really had a problem with it. I mean, they knew I was partying there. They knew I was drinking. They knew I was partying. They knew I had friends coming over.
Can I see pictures of the house, please?
Yes, sure enough.
Where are you living now, sir?
I'm staying with friends.
What did I ask you that was funny?
Nothing.
Why would you trash a house like this, sir?
Just having a good time.
Are you the only child that your father had with your mother?
No.
How many other children did your father have with...
One.
Where is that child?
He kind of stays with my mom.
Does he stay with your mother because he takes care of her?
No.
She takes care of him?
Well, he stays in one of her apartments. I really don't talk to them that much.
Why not?
I really don't like my mom too much.
Did you like your father?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you respect your father?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Well...
And you don't respect him now. Did I wipe the smile off your face? You don't respect him now because if you respected him, you wouldn't have done this to his property. And if the excuse was that you were using drugs and alcohol and therefore you were not in control of yourself, that's not an excuse. That's a reason that you would allow you and your friends to do this to his property. But now you've sobered up. So I don't think that you respect your father or his memory, sir.
Yeah, but
because if you did, and you would say, this property belonged to, at least in part, my father, and I'm disrespecting his memory by leaving it like a pig pen. I'm disrespecting who he was and how nice he was to me by saying to me, listen, we'll give you a home. You don't like your mother. Maybe she's a problem, but I want you to feel as if you have a home with us. Here's a place for you to live, and you take it and trash it. But then you get clean and sober, and you don't fix it. And there's no excuse for that. If you want to do the right thing and turn your life around, Mr. Frere. We understand each other?
Yes.
We're not laughing anymore, are we?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His life-altering experience didn't alter the way he thinks. I'm telling you, for your own protection, keep your distance. Bad news.
And later today.
And I told him that I was supposed to meet this woman to give her her backpack. Would it be all right if I left it with him? He was...
You hear those groans?
He was a staff member.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Freer says stepson Jonathan Freer owes for destroying her home and her car. Jonathan says his actions were a result of his drug addiction.
I see the estimates of what it's going to take to clean up this place. I doubt whether the jurisdiction of my court would cover it. It doesn't. All right, now tell me quickly about the car.
He didn't have a vehicle, so I let him use my vehicle. And when I found out he left, we went to the house and the car was in the driveway.
How did you find out that he moved out?
He told my daughter. My daughter speaks with her brother still, and he told my daughter that he was going to move out. She's the one who informed me that he was gone. Did you need to hear that from her?
No, I'm just going to give you some advice. You too. When somebody is a drug abuser, and he acknowledges that he was a drug abuser, and unless they take care of it, it's not going to go away. And his life-altering experience didn't, from what I'm hearing, alter the way he thinks. So you look like two nice young people. Keep your distance. I know you're looking like this. I'm telling you, for your own protection, keep your distance. Bad news. Okay. Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Your Honor, he came to us with some serious problems, and it took us a while, and it appeared that he had straightened his life out. He really was doing great. He had a great job, made good money, and that was why he rented the apartment, why we let him move in, because we figured that it was his family. He was going to take care of it just like we would have. And he did. For over a year, he did. And then I don't know if it was his father getting sick or what happened to him, but it all just hit the wall, and he reverted right back to what he knew. And, you know, what I'm left with is to pick up the mess.
Mrs. Frere, listen to me. When he came to you, he had some problems. Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said.
And would those problems include substance abuse?
I'm sure it was. I couldn't prove it, but I would say.
And then he got a job, and he appeared to be okay.
He did very well.
And then he went back to drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
Did you hear what your mother said?
Yes.
Unless you take care of it once and for all, it's like an enemy that you wound over your shoulder. If you wound an enemy, that enemy can always come back to hurt you, right? Mm-hmm. That's drugs. You have to get rid of it. And he's not smart enough to get rid of it on his own. And he's never gone anywhere to help him get rid of it. So he's always going to go back to it. And he's going to suck you in if you let him. You understand?
Yes.
Good. So I'm glad you're working, sir. Good. And if I haven't been able to help you, that's too bad. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When I did confront him, it turned into, you know, I owe the money to my dad, not you.
I guess it's about, you know, doing the right thing, but I think it's more about money.
I'm kind of torn in the middle because I do love my brother, but I know maybe he shouldn't have done the things he did.
I hope we can get by it. I hope we can get past it because I miss him.
Maybe someday, but not right now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blount versus Ale, step forward, please.
26-year-old Sarah Blount is suing her former friend, Felicia Ale, for losing her backpack. Sarah claims Felicia gave the backpack to a stranger.
Ms. Blount, you are suing the defendant for a backpack and its contents.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lots of expensive goodies in this backpack that you had left in her car.
Yes.
The defendant has a rather interesting defense, which I'm going to allow her to explain to Officer Byrd here, because he's going to be fascinated with the defense. How did you know each other?
We're acquaintances, former co-workers. We've known each other for about a year, and we had both been at the same festival.
What kind of festival was it?
It was a music festival.
When?
It was the weekend ending on Sunday, June 26th.
What were you doing there?
I was working. I have a second job. I was working for the brewery there, and so I had been working every day and camping at night. And
the defendant, what were you doing there?
I was working for the promoter of the festival. I've worked for him for the past 3 years. I'm in charge of ticket sales, handling cash for the festival.
Good. So you saw each other there during the weekend, and
yes.
According to what I read in your complaint, Ms. Blount, the defendant was going to give you a ride home.
Yes, she had offered on the last day on Sunday. She said, "How are you getting home?" I said, "I'm not sure yet." I knew.
Where do you live?
We both live in Portland. Maybe 45-minute drive from
where
the
festival was held.
Yes.
Okay. So she said, "How are you going to get home?"
Yes, and she said, "I'll give you a ride home. Here are my keys. Put your pack in my car." I want to emphasize before anything else that this pack was full of everything I needed for 4 days on cold nights in Oregon. I work at a camping outdoor store. It wasn't cheap, shoddy merchandise. It was very nice. It was several of the items were brand new.
Okay.
A little while later, it started raining. Felicia approached me, said, "You know what? I'm going to go home a little early. I can't give you a ride home." So I said, "Well, let me go get my pack out of your car now." She goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. At 5:30, we will meet." We made plans to meet on the road where the road forks on her way out en route to the exit.
And what time were you going to leave?
I was working that evening, so I wasn't leaving until later in the evening.
Okay, and you were going to leave at 5:30.
I had approached Sarah in the beer garden where she was working and said that it was raining and I wasn't going to stay until the festival was over.
So you were leaving early. You were
so I was going to leave early. So I asked her what would be a good time to meet. We both agreed that 5:30 would be a good time. That was a few hours before the meeting time is when I had approached her.
Fine. So what happened?
So she said, "Let's meet where the road forks and we'll meet at my car. If I'm not there, go up to the parking lot," which I knew where that was because I had gone to put my pack in her car at the parking lot. So at 5:30 on the dot, I stopped what I was doing and I went to the road. I couldn't find her. I couldn't see where she was, so I went up to the parking lot. I couldn't see her car there. I'm looking for her car, which is a station wagon. It's a white wagon. I look up and down. I walk up and down the road for approximately 15 minutes, thinking, you know what? I have to get back to work. I don't see her. So I go back to work. I had no cell phone at the time because it was in the pack, and nobody's cell phone had any reception at the point, so I couldn't get a hold of her immediately. So I waited until I'd got another ride later that evening, and I called her, I think, 2 times, and didn't hear any response until the following morning.
Okay. What happened, Ms. Hale?
I went to my car. I waited at my car till about 5:33 is when I got in my car. I got to the corner at 5:36 and waited for a few minutes. And I didn't see Sarah. So when I had gone to speak with her earlier at the beer garden, she had expressed to me that she needed her pack. So I didn't want to leave the festival with her backpack, knowing that she needed it. The place where I was a one-way out road, and I was blocking the exit to leave the festival. So I couldn't wait there. There happened to be a gentleman sitting in a chair who was a staff member. He had a staff shirt on, sitting in his chair, and I told him what was going on, that I was supposed to meet this woman to give her backpack there. She wasn't there. Would it be all right if I left it with him? He was...
You hear those groans?
He was a staff member. He was a staff member. He was going to be there for the next hour and a half. She wasn't there. And she'd told me she needed her bag. I had no way of getting a hold of her, so I figured the best thing to do is to leave it in the exact spot where we're supposed to meet. It's a visible spot, and he was going to be there for the next hour and a half. I told him her name, who she worked for, and he said, "Does she know to meet you here?" And I said, "Yes," but it's 5:36, and it's, you know, by this point I had been there a couple of minutes. There were cars behind me trying to leave, and I had to go.
Got it? Yeah.
All right, can I say... I had no idea I was looking for a man, a stranger.
Just a second. The law is pretty clear. You do not owe her extraordinary care in taking care of this backpack, which you gratuitously said you can put in my car. You owe her what I perceive to be ordinary care. The question is, did you exercise ordinary care in first waiting according to you, giving you every possible benefit of the doubt, 6 minutes beyond the 5:30, 6 minutes, not a half hour, not 40 minutes, not an hour, 6 minutes beyond which you claim she was late. That's giving you every benefit of the doubt. Let's say your watch might have been off a minute or two.
Okay.
Okay? Did you exercise ordinary care in turning this backpack over to someone that, despite the fact that you say he was a staff member because he had a shirt on, you didn't know? He didn't know her. He didn't know what she looked like. She didn't know him. You didn't get a telephone number. You didn't ask him for any identification. You could have said, listen, I want to give this to you, but do you have your ID on it so I can take down your name and your phone number in case you don't hook up with us so that she can get in touch with you? Nothing. You take the backpack and you say, here, take it, give it to her. She's supposed to be at 5:30. She's not here at 5:30. It's no longer my responsibility. The law doesn't give you that right, Ms. Ale. The law says you have to exercise ordinary care. And unless you did that, unless you got this man's identification information, his telephone number, a place where he could be contacted so that in case that they couldn't get together, she would have some way of contacting him, not just a man who was wearing a shirt that indicated he worked there.
Well, I had no way of contacting her.
You did not exercise ordinary care. You added up the things in the backpack?
Yes.
What did it come to?
$978.
Can I see the bills, please?
Okay, I have receipts from my place of employment where
Can
I
I
bought
see
them.
it, please?
Your Honor, may I say something?
Yes.
The previous place where we both worked, we had special deals that we were able to purchase from there. We sold a lot of high-end camping items. We also returned a lot of them as well, and were able to resell those items. Employees were able to go to those sales for employees only the night before they were open to the public and purchase those items for extremely discountable prices.
I have claimed nothing
just a sec
from those purchases.
So all that I want to say is that I don't know what was in the backpack. The backpack was put in my car. I took the backpack out of my car, but we were able to purchase items for an extremely discounted
And that's
rate.
irrelevant in this case because...
Well, just a second.
Okay.
It's not irrelevant if that's not what you paid for them.
Exactly.
Okay, and what you're testifying to under oath is that you paid $978 for these items. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, and I have receipts for the biggest ticket items.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $978. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 307 on the calendar in the matter of Frazier versus Turner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Turner, is your husband here today?
No, ma'am.
Where is he?
At work.
How long have you been married?
8 years.
You have children?
No, ma'am.
Miss Frazier, according to what I've read, you and Miss Turner's husband have been friends for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
How many years have you been a friend to Miss Turner's husband?
About 20 years.
You know him from school?
From school. We grew up in the same neighborhood.
And according to you, Miss Turner is not happy that you have a nice, close friendship with her husband, and she reacted to that, according to you, by harassing you and vandalizing your car.
Yes.
Miss Turner says nothing could be farther from the truth, that you have actually been harassing her and she would never do anything to vandalize your car.
Correct.
I read your answer, Miss Turner, and I read Miss Frazier's complaint. Do you approve of the friendship that Miss Frazier has with your husband?
I didn't have a problem with her being friends with my husband. The problem came in when I initially had contact with Mrs. Frazier. She was being chased down the street by another woman, hollering, "You better leave my husband alone." That's my first initial contact with Mrs. Frazier. At the time, I did not know who she was. And me and my husband was sitting on the porch that day, and he looked and said, "That's my friend Kathy." He went over to offer his help, and at that time, she came back over to the porch, sat down to get herself together. After that, that's how I initially met her to let me know.
How long ago?
That was 6 years ago, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you again.
Yes.
Do you have a problem with your husband and Miss Frazier's relationship?
At this time, yes.
And when did you develop a sense that this was not the kind of relationship that was good for your marriage?
To me, friends is a title, and a friend shouldn't come over every other day, shouldn't call every other day. And also, on several occasions, I came home and she was in my house. I don't think that's appropriate for a male and a female, especially a married man, to be in the house with a woman. That's her.
Did you discuss that with your husband?
Yes, I did.
You told your husband that you didn't want?
I think that she comes over too much, and I don't think that's appropriate for her to be in my house when I'm not there.
And what did your husband tell you?
He's saying that they weren't doing anything, but she's there. But I said, that's how things can happen.
So your husband defended his friendship with Miss Frazier?
He made a statement that they are friends.
He defended the friendship. He said, you know, you're reacting. She's a friend.
Yes.
Did that stop her from coming over?
No, ma'am.
She came over while you were working?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you invited over to the house, Miss Frazier?
Yes, Your Honor.
By Miss Turner's husband?
By her husband, yes.
Has he ever come to your house?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Does he come to your house as frequently as you go to his house?
Yes.
So, now I'd like you to tell me, did you witness her vandalizing your car?
Yes, I did.
Anybody else witness her vandalizing your car?
Yes.
Who?
My witness here, Cletus Brown.
Step up, Mr. Brown. How do you know Miss Frazier?
I really don't know Miss Frazier. I had, on Wednesdays, I usually pick up a friend of mine, and we usually always go get groceries at the church on Wednesday. So as we was coming back, this lady here, she was in the parking lot. I mean, she was just hysterical.
Had you ever seen her before?
No, never.
What parking lot was she in?
At the apartment complex.
Is that where you live?
No, ma'am.
Who lives there?
I don't know.
A friend of mine does. The person that I picked up on Wednesday to pick up groceries.
Okay. So you saw her sitting in her car?
No. When I put up in the driveway, she was out of the car. She was cussing, calling this lady here, "Oh, I'm gonna kick your." I don't know if it looked like a flashlight to me. She was beating the trunk as me and my friend proceeded on.
Beating the trunk of what?
Miss Frazier's car.
And you didn't know Miss Frazier at the time?
No, I did
And you didn't know Miss Turner at the time?
No.
So what did you do when you saw Miss Turner beating the trunk of the car with what looked like a flashlight?
Me and my friend, we proceeded on into the apartment complex because he stays right there on the first floor. And this lady right here, she was still outside cussing and calling this lady names. And so she had proceeded on into the apartment complex. She didn't know which apartment complex Miss Frazier here was in. So she had knocked on some tenants' doors.
Who knocked on the doors?
The defendant here. I guess she was trying to find out which apartment Miss Frazier was in. So Miss Frazier was saying at that time she really didn't want to cause a problem. She told me she was going to handle this the right way. So Miss Frazier here was calling the police, and she continued on out the door.
Where was Miss Frazier physically when she was calling the police? Inside?
She was standing right there in the apartment unit with everyone, because everybody was really kind of traumatized.
I'm asking you, when she was called, where were you when you were calling the police?
Inside our friend's apartment.
Whose friend?
In the window.
Whose
the friend's name is Bobby.
Is that the person you go to the church with?
Right, exactly.
But you had never met her before that day?
No,
right.
never.
I just met him that day.
So you went into Bobby's apartment?
I went to visit Bobby on this particular day. And when I was there visiting Bobby, he introduced me to Cletus. This is my friend Cletus. We go to the store together. And we all decided we was going to play some cards. So Bobby said, man, let's go to the store first, you know. So they went to the store. I sat there, waited on them to come back. When they came back, that's when Janice had pulled up. Her van was parked on the street. My car was parked in the building parking lot. She walked up to my car, beat it on my trunk with this flashlight. She's still ranting and raving, calling me, I'm gonna f you up, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Then she leaves, and she goes back to her car. She gets a flathead screwdriver. She comes back, and she starts scraping up all on the back of my car. Your Honor, this incident has been going on with Janice. Wherever I go, she sees my car. She gets out. She rips and ramps. She calls. She threatens. She's going to do this. She's going to do that. You know,
Frazier, listen to me.
I'm sorry.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the pictures of the car. I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with you, Miss Frazier.
Yes.
Then I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with Miss Turner.
Okay.
You know this friend of yours that's been your friend for 20 years?
Yes.
Get rid of him.
Most definitely. I already know that.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Get rid of him.
It's not worth it.
You want to know why you're supposed to get rid of him? Because he's enjoying watching you two women make fools of yourself.
Exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What do you need him for? You think he's making your life pleasant? According to the answer that I received here, he has not made your life pleasant.
And later today,
her girlfriend was egging her on.
Don't tell me she was egging her on. What did
do it, do it. You're not going to do it. Do it. You're not going to do it. I know you're not going to do it. And they were both laughing.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathleen Frazier says her car was vandalized by Janice Turner. Janice says Kathleen won't keep away from her husband.
Miss Turner, whether you like to acknowledge it or not, your husband is enjoying watching two women clawing at each other, fighting over him.
Exactly.
That's their mentality.
Thank you. Thank you.
You may not believe that, but I want you to think about something you told me before. You said to me, I told him that you don't think it's appropriate for her to be at your house when you're working. He's your husband. He's supposed to care about your feelings, whether you're right or wrong. And this friendship that he has with this lady certainly isn't important as your marriage, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Clearly, it hasn't stopped him.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So he's sitting back and he's enjoying watching you two ladies make fools out of yourself. What does he do for a living?
It's a painter.
And what do you do?
I'm a secretary.
You've been working for the same company for a while?
15 years.
You look like a terrific lady.
Thank you.
What do you need him for? You think he's making your life pleasant? According to the answer that I receive here, he has not made your life pleasant in the last few years with his relationship with Miss Frazier. You did the wrong thing, by the way. I mean, he's married.
I know.
He's married. It's nice to have a male friend. But if it gets in the way of his marriage and it gets in the way of your peace, you say to him, listen, stay with your wife. Leave me alone. I'll find another friend. Cletus looks like a lovely man. Find Cletus. Are you married, Cletus?
No, ma'am.
Perfect. Not worth it. You want to say anything to me?
I want to say that on the date of April the 6th that she's claiming, I was working at the time she said, approximately at 1:30.
She didn't say any time.
Ma'am, I'm just going on her statement.
I'm just telling you, Cletus wasn't lying.
Okay.
You can't get that kind of frustrated, Miss Turner. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, ma'am.
Can I see the estimate of the damage, please? Are you friends of hers?
Yes, ma'am.
Been friends for a long time?
Yes.
You know the husband?
Yes, I do. Your Honor, I also know how Miss Frazier is. I work with Miss Turner at the school, and she has harassed our office staff. I have all of that information.
I believe it's true.
Okay.
You following what I'm saying about this husband?
I follow you.
He's enjoying watching these two women fight over him. Makes him feel good. You know? Makes him feel like Brad Pitt.
For real. It's not worth it. I'm sorry.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,151. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think that's appropriate for a man or a woman to be alone, especially a married man in a house with a woman.
Her husband was like, she can't tell me what to do, and we've been friends for long, and I'm not going to let her and nobody else ruin our friendship.
It was just unfortunate, but I said, I told her I'd stick with it through the end,
Misery loves company. She's a lonely woman. And like Judge Judy told her, he's single, go maybe see if he could talk to her.
It's just one of those things. Live and you learn.
You look for trouble, trouble will find you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Taub versus Gilmer. Step forward, please.
27-year-old Carly Taub and her parents, Harris and Judy Taub, are suing their neighbors, 13-year-old Kimberly Gilmer and her mother, Martha, for car repair bills.
Mr. and Mrs. Taub, and I assume this is your daughter.
Right.
Who, according to your complaint, is entering law school.
I just finished law school, actually.
Or just
took the
finished
bar.
law school.
Yeah.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. According to your complaint, you purchased this car for her. You a neighbor of the defendants? Do you live across the street from each other, or was she just visiting a neighbor?
I was visiting.
She was visiting a neighbor of yours, and her daughter got into her car and either backed or moved forward, and her car hit your car, causing some damage. Do you have pictures of the damage?
We do.
I'd like to see it, please. Where did you go to law school, Miss Taub?
Golden Gate University in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the tire on the back. I couldn't figure out what it was. It looked like a satellite.
It's a Honda 2001 SUV with a spare tire that's on the back of the tail.
Now I got it. How old are you?
I just turned 13.
When did this happen?
August 14th.
What time of the day or evening did you go out and get into this car?
Like the afternoon.
Whose car did you get into?
My mom's.
Why?
Because we were about to go home.
Who gave you the keys to the car?
My mom's purse was in my grandma's house, and I knew she would forget it, so I had her purse on my shoulder.
So you had your mother's purse on your shoulder. You took the keys?
Yes.
Why did you start the car?
Because it was a really hot day, and I wanted to turn the air conditioning on so it would get cool in the car when we were driving.
But you hit their car. How did that happen?
Because I didn't know the car was in gear, and I didn't know it would move, and when I put the keys in the ignition and turned it, it jumped forward because the car was in, or lunged forward because the car was in gear.
Tell me your first name.
Kimberly.
Have you ever put the key in the car before? Kimberly? Have you
Yeah.
ever... Where were you when you put the key in the car before?
The key in my mom's car or someone else's car?
In your mom. Let's try your mom's car.
At our house, just putting them in.
For what reason?
I don't know. Just because.
Where did you get the keys from when you just because put it in the ignition?
From in her car, because she always puts her purse in the car.
Has your mother ever said to you, don't take the keys out of my car and don't start the car?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
So why do you do it?
Because I didn't listen to her.
Right. So now, Kimberly, your mom gave you her pocketbook, or you took it?
I took it.
And did you tell her you were going outside to wait for her?
Well, we all went outside. Me and my older sister, her boyfriend, and my mom.
So your mother saw that you had her pocketbook?
I don't know if she saw I had it, but...
Well, she didn't leave her pocketbook in the house, did she? You were all getting ready to go. Don't speak to her. So, Kimberly, these people are in their house not doing anything. Their car is sitting on the street in a legally parked space, and you get in the car, and you start the car, and you lunge forward, and you damage their car. Who do you think is responsible?
Me.
Great!
But...
Just a second. Great! Now I'll hear your butt.
But I didn't. It's not like I purposely tried to hit their car.
That's why they call it an accident.
Yeah.
Whose fault is it?
Mine.
Right. And if you were an adult, you would have to pay for it, right?
Right.
Because it was an accident that was your fault. Even though it wasn't purposeful, you didn't get into the car with a view towards damaging somebody else's property. That's why we call it an accident. But since you're 12 and not responsible under the law, so I can't make a judgment against you, I have to make a judgment against you. Right?
Yep.
Perfect. Then we understand each other. How much did it cost to fix it?
Well, we haven't gotten it fixed yet.
What's your estimate?
$945, close to $950.
$945. Yeah. How many estimates do you have?
We have two. The one I like, though, the brunt of the damage was done on this wheel cover. It's cockeyed. And what the mechanic said to me made sense.
Don't tell me what the mechanic said to you. Just let me see the two estimates.
Sure. Judge Judy, can I tell you how it really happened?
Sure.
Are you interested? Okay.
Sure, I am interested.
Okay.
Always interested if somebody's not telling me the truth.
Okay. Well, I was reading. It was around
I don't care what you were doing.
5 o'clock. Quiet. I hear noise outside. Like, I thought there were drunken kids outside before I even saw them, just by the noise element and how they were giggling and laughing.
Let's go. I have other things to do today.
And I see the two kids. They talk to a fella, and I figured, well, you can't stop kids from being on the street. I went back to read a book. About a minute later, I looked out again. I just got a gut feeling nothing good was going to come of this. I see her get into the car, sans pocketbook, no pocketbook. And the other, her girlfriend, was egging her on. And they were
What do you
both
mean? Don't tell
laughing.
me she was egging her on. What did
Do
she
it,
say?
do it. You're not going to do it. Do it. You're not going to do it. I know you're not going to do it. And they were both laughing. I mean, really laughing. And now I'm glued to the window because this car it doesn't even have a paint job. It's like a black matte primer.
I got it.
And then she talked to a fella in a truck. I think maybe she's 16, so
Whatever.
I thought she's going to back out and take off.
Whatever.
But what she did was put it in gear and accelerate. It was such a loud noise.
She didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. She didn't mean to hurt your car. She didn't mean to hurt her mother's car. She had no business being in a car. She had no business being in possession of the car keys.
Right.
Her mother's statement is she has trouble with her. She can't watch her 24/7, therefore it's not her fault. That's pretty much what you said in your statement. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, as between you and these poor people, you're responsible for the damage your daughter does. And if I were you, I'd have her do a whole bunch of something, babysitting, whatever it is.
I already do babysit.
Well, what do you do with the money that you make from babysitting?
Use it, like go to the mall with my friends.
Why don't you give it to your mother so that you can help pay for this property damage that you caused? Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $742.47, which is the amount of the lower estimate. That's all. Step out. Take responsibility for what you do. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 338 on the calendar in the matter of Calderon versus Calderon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Calderon, this is your former wife, according to your complaint. Subsequent to your divorce, when all matters of finances had been resolved, your wife used a credit card that was in your name without your authorization, and it was a gas credit card, and according to you, in a very short period of time, a few days, she ran up a bill of well over $500. You want to be compensated for that. Ms. Calderon states in her answer that she believed that you left this card open for her because you were being a nice guy and you knew that she was struggling financially. Of course, you say that when you confronted her with that, her reaction was somewhat different. Can I see a copy of your judgment of divorce, please?
Yes.
You were married for 25 years?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that right? And you have kids?
Yes.
How many children?
2.
Grown?
Yes.
It is clear from the judgment of divorce that any and all liabilities incurred after December 14th of 2004 belong to each of you separately. Now, when were these credit card bills made?
October 13th through the 19th.
Of 2005?
Of 2005. I have a
Can I see them, please? How did you become aware of them, sir?
I received a letter of address change, and I knew that I had not changed my address. I didn't even know the credit card existed. And when I called them, they told me that I had requested to change my address, and I thought that there was something wrong with that and asked if there was any charges on the account.
Okay, Ms. Calderon, the ball is in your court. Explain it to me, please.
Basically, the reason that I was in the situation I was in is because I was so heavily in debt and destroyed from what he had done to me from this divorce, because he knew that last year when my daughter graduated high school, my oldest daughter graduated college, and my oldest daughter got married, that I had put a lot of money into that. And
this has nothing to do
well,
with that.
but this is why I was.
Calderon,
this is why.
This has nothing to do with that. This is not.
I would have never used it though.
This is not even a large amount of money. We're talking about a gas credit card where it's clear you allowed someone else to use this gas credit card.
I got gas for my kids. We were all struggling. He destroyed us all.
Just a second. In 4 days, you got gas for your children. You have 2 children and yourself.
Right.
You filled up the cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know what's $98.20. That's not a car fill up. Or $83.
Or a case of oil.
A case of oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times. Let us assume 3 people's cars, 13 times in a 4-day period. So, Ms. Calderon, don't play with me. This is not because you needed money.
Yes, it was.
When you enter into an agreement, and I assume that this was your agreement, it looks as if it was boilerplate clauses. You agreed that after December of 2004, you would not make any debts for the other party. You chose not to do that.
His friend told my daughter that he left the card open for me to use because he felt sorry for me because he knew how hard of a time I was having.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a different story. Is that person here today?
Yes.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
David Dover.
Mr. Dover, did you ever tell Mr. Calderon's daughter that this credit card was left open?
No, ma'am. I never knew the card existed. I never knew anything about it.
Step up. You're the daughter.
Yes.
Your name?
Angela Schubert.
Angela, tell me about this alleged conversation.
We were going to dinner for my birthday, and I was sitting in front, and we had just found out I was pregnant that day. It was August 18th. We picked up my dad from work, and we work at, well, it was before we picked him up for work. And we were just talking about the divorce, you know. I was trying to get to know him since, you know, he lives with my dad now. And he just happened to say, well, your dad did leave a gas card open for your mom. Because we didn't know, because all the gas cards were closed.
Let me ask you this question. Somebody must have been complaining about money.
No.
So, because the statement that you ascribed to this gentleman, well, this is what you said. Well, your dad did leave a gas card open for your mom.
We were talking
It's
about...
always a response to something said to him.
We were talking about how hard it was for everyone in the divorce, how it happened. We were talking about how hard it was. And he said, well, you know, your dad left a gas card open for your mom, and, you know, to help her out a little bit.
And you went back and told you, shh.
I didn't tell her right away.
You didn't tell her right away. When did you tell her?
Maybe a week, week and a half, 2 weeks tops.
Okay, so a week and a half, 2 weeks tops, you tell your mother. And your mother didn't have this credit card.
Yes, I do.
Just a second. You didn't have it. According to you, you found it. Listen to me. You found it. When did you find it?
I wasn't trying to use any of the credit cards.
When did you find it?
When she told me he left it open for me and we were having such a hard time.
Well, did you call him and say...
I can't. We don't communicate.
What do you mean? You don't have a telephone?
He communicates through the kids.
Before I would extend his credit based upon hearsay, I would have picked up a telephone or sent him a note. Is it true that I can use this credit card? I certainly would have at least, if I believed that it was true that he held open this credit card, Miss Calderon, I would have tried it for 1 month. He would have gotten the bill and he would have said, well, I have a $40 bill for gas. I wonder what this is from. But you didn't do that. You charged $500 worth of gas in 4 days. And then, according to your former husband, when he confronted you, because you did call her.
I actually contacted her via email. I don't call her. I had to change my number so many times.
Fine. So you didn't?
But I did contact her.
And what was her response?
She said that go ahead and prosecute her. It would be well worth it for the look on my face.
Can I see it, please?
I was shocked that he wanted to prosecute me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I still am in shock that he's done what he's done to us. And
You're shocked.
I never thought he was that cold-blooded, and I still can't believe it.
And later today,
I said, I'm calling the police. And she said she took him and she pawned him and she thought she could get him back in my jewelry box before I noticed.
That's what drug addicts do, not casual marijuana smokers.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alan Calderon says ex-wife Linda Calderon made unauthorized charges on his credit card.
Well, this email acknowledges, Miss Calderon, that you used this card, but you said, I figured I'd be able to make payments just like you would.
If he had a problem with what I got. But I got things to help us because I knew how he always tries to make himself appear to be generous, but his MO is not generosity. And
Listen to me, he doesn't have to be generous with you anymore.
He has never been generous with
Miss Calderon, then you stayed with somebody for 25 years who wasn't generous. You're divorced now. And what you have to do is you have to put a period and move forward. The economics of divorce is never easy. When you try to run two households on the same salaries that you were using to support one household, that's never easy for anybody. But what you cannot do is, you cannot say, I have a contract, and I'm not satisfied with the terms of the contract, so I can, because of necessity, because I was married to him for 25 years, because we have children together, they have needs, whatever, I'm going to extend his credit. You can't do that.
I still am in shock that he's done what he's done to us.
Listen to me.
And
You're shocked.
I never thought he was that cold-blooded, and I still can't believe it.
The retaliation was not to use a credit card.
I didn't do it in retaliation.
Well, then you got to pay it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $507. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was married to a snake, and I had no idea I was.
My ex-wife has been harassing me, and this is just another form of harassment.
It's all because of self-indulgence and selfishness that someone would do this to their family in the first place.
She actually moved out on me, but if you hear her talk, she'd think that, I left her.
I don't know who he is, and I thought that, he really was trying to be generous and help us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schoonmaker versus Huddleston. Step forward.
Susan Jane Schoonmaker is suing her daughter, 20-year-old Heather Huddleston, for stealing and pawning her wedding rings. Heather claims she had her mother's permission.
The Schoonmaker, this young lady is your daughter, and according to your complaint, she owes you some money. She owes you some money because As a result, according to you, of her drug abuse, she fell behind in her rent. She and her boyfriend, and she came to you for money, and you gave her jewelry to pawn. She pawned the jewelry. She was supposed to get it out. She didn't. You lost the jewelry. You want the money. Is that right?
Well, she also stole my wedding rings out of my jewelry box and pawned them without my knowledge.
For how long has your daughter had a drug problem?
I didn't know that she had one. She told me it was her boyfriend.
When she came to you and asked for money, she told you that the boyfriend had a drug problem?
She said that he was spending money on things he shouldn't be. He was doing drugs and stuff like that.
So then why in the world would you give her jewelry to pawn?
I gave it to her so she would have a place to live. I didn't want her.
Why couldn't she come home?
I have other children that I don't want exposed to the lifestyle that she was doing.
Well, just a second. I thought you said there was nothing wrong with her lifestyle. It was the boyfriend.
I don't know what her lifestyle was. I know that she was spending money and doing things that she should not be doing.
Then you
That's the reason that
you
she
shouldn't
left.
have given her your jewelry.
You're right.
So then what are you doing in court?
I'm doing it in court because she stole rings from my jewelry box that I had no knowledge of.
I want you to forget about the pawn jewelry.
Right.
And I think that you knew what her lifestyle was, and that if you gave her jewelry to pawn, there was no legitimate expectation of you getting this money back, because drug abusers don't return money. Drug abusers put money in their arms or up their noses. Right, Miss Huddleston?
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother says that after she gave you this jewelry to pawn, which you did, you stole some property from her. Did you?
That's not true.
Well, tell me about these wedding rings that she said that you took.
The wedding rings she never wore, and I came upon a time when I needed money for rent, and she told me to go ahead and take the jewelry out of her jewelry box, the wedding rings, to pawn them so I could pay rent, because she never wore them. She hasn't worn them in 5 years.
That's not true.
What other jewelry did she give you?
Previously, she had given me a bag of gold necklaces and a ring that my grandmother had given her. She offered it. I never asked her for money. I told her that I was having problems, and she offered it to me.
That's not true.
What kind of drugs were you or are you involved with?
I was smoking marijuana, and she knew.
And the boyfriend?
Anything and everything.
But not you?
The only thing I ever did was marijuana.
Susan Jane Schoonmaker says her daughter, Heather Huddleston, stole her wedding rings and pawned them.
Still with the boyfriend?
Nope.
Who do you live with now?
I live with friends in Arizona.
Do you work?
Not yet. I'm a student.
You're a student where?
At massage therapy school.
Who pays for it?
I got a grant.
Pays for your living expenses?
I do.
From what?
I have money.
From what?
Doing various jobs. I clean houses and babysit.
Oh, what a bunch of baloney. What a bunch of baloney.
It's true.
My dear Miss Huddleston, you wouldn't know the truth if it came up and cracked you in the face. The wedding rings, when did you find out that they were missing?
When I always go into my jewelry box because I keep my earrings and everything in there. I wasn't wearing the rings because one of the diamonds was loose.
Don't tell me what you weren't wearing them. You weren't wearing them.
I wasn't wearing them, and they were gone. I called her at school. She was going to massage therapy school at the time when this happened, and I said, my wedding rings are gone. Do you know where they are? Have you done? She goes, no, I don't know, but when I come home, I will help you find them. And she came home, and I sat her down, and I said, I'm calling the police. And once the police are involved, if you're involved, you're going to jail because I can't stop it. And she said she took them, and she pawned them, and she thought she could get them back in my jewelry box before I noticed.
That's what drug addicts do.
I know.
Not casual marijuana smokers. How much were the wedding rings pawned for?
$150.
Did you go to the pawn shop to try to get them back?
I didn't know what pawn shop it was, and her boyfriend called me and told me after she left him, for no reason, he didn't even know that she had left him, that he went down to the pawn shop because that's where he gave her the money to go down and pick them up and bring them to me. She told me she was on her way to my house to do laundry and bring me my rings and never showed up. And this is the first time I've seen her since then. The pawn shop had sold all the rings a while ago.
You know who she's living with now?
A guy that she met on the internet.
One guy? Or
One
friend?
guy with his old girlfriend and his baby.
How old is she?
She'll be 21 in December. I've tried to help her. I don't know how else to help her. And I feel like she needs to start paying for the things that she's doing. And I just thought here at least she would start seeing what her actions are going to start becoming. They're going to get worse. I don't want to have to pick her up in jail.
And
I won't.
Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you're ready to turn your life around.
That's what I'm hoping.
When did she leave home?
She left home when she was 19.
You go to live with this boyfriend?
She knew him a week and left.
Who else lives at home with you?
My 17-year-old daughter, my 12-year-old daughter, and my 10-year-old son.
You know what these rings were appraised for that you took?
I went in and I got an estimate on what it would cost to replace all of the rings.
Not all the rings.
No, I know, but it has just them separated. My wedding ring and my engagement ring set is on here. $28.99 for the engagement ring and $880 for the wedding ring.
Are you still married to the man who gave you the rings?
Yes, I am. We've lived together for 16 years.
He's not her father?
He's not her father. But you'd never know the difference.
Anything you want to say?
She told me that those rings were remnants of an unhappy marriage and that she was happy to get rid of them. And that's why she let me pawn them. And
I never said that.
I just think it's really funny, you know, she was helping me out, and now because she's getting in trouble from my stepdad and my grandma, she's got to turn around and blame it on me, and I just don't think that's fair.
What do you think is fair?
I didn't do anything wrong. She gave it to me.
You did do something wrong. You came to your mother and you said, I got a drug addict boyfriend, I'm behind in the rent, you were living a lifestyle that was inappropriate, and you came to your mother, who clearly is not a rich lady, because if she was a rich lady, she would have had the money to give you for the rent. She didn't, so all she had was this bag of jewelry, and you're a big girl. You chose to be a big girl. You chose to move out of your house and live on your own.
I never asked her to help me. She offered to help.
How would she know that you needed anything unless you came to her and said, I don't have rent? Listen to me. How would she know that you needed money unless you came to her and told her that you didn't have rent money?
Because I came over one day and I was upset. And like any caring mother would, she asked what was wrong. At least I thought she was caring. Sorry.
You got to do the right thing. You still have time. If you continue to make bad choices in your life, you know what's going to happen. You're going to end up being, instead of a 20-year-old bum, a 40-year-old bum. If you lie down with dirt, you get dirty. Did you ever hear that expression? Did everybody say anything like that to you? If you lie down in dirt, you're going to get dirty. And it sounds to me like you went from the frying pan into the fire. It's not too late. You're still a young girl. But you better start making right choices. Because if you don't make right choices, you're going to end up a 40-year-old dirty girl instead of a 20-year-old dirty girl. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Of Mystead Tucker versus Gocher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Who's going to be speaking for the plaintiff's side? You are. What is your name, sir?
Jason.
Okay. Now, is your complaint that Mr. Gocher both damaged your car and assaulted you when you wouldn't move fast enough at a gas pump?
Yes.
The defendant says that you were the instigator of this unfortunate incident. Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, all right. Who was this?
This is my witness.
Was he driving in the truck with you?
He was driving the crew truck that we were trying to fuel up, yes.
Was he driving in the truck that you were driving?
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's a simple question. He was not. He was behind you.
No, he was at a separate island. I had parked at another island.
Who was behind the plaintiff's truck?
The truck that my witness was driving.
Perfect. Step up here. Tell me your name.
David Wolford.
What kind of vehicle did they have?
I believe it was a Ford Ranger.
You pulled up behind them?
Yes, ma'am.
In order to put gas in your...
Truck, yes.
What kind of truck was it?
It's a big one-ton. I was pulling a big trailer.
Where were you going?
We were going to San Francisco for a job.
How many cars were in, or trucks were in the caravan that you were in?
There was 2.
Where was the defendant's truck in relation to your truck when you pulled up to the gas station?
He was the next pump over on the other side.
Did he have a gas pump available to him?
Yes.
Is he putting gas in his truck?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you?
No, ma'am. I pulled up behind him.
Behind him?
Yes, ma'am. Behind him.
Yes.
And sat there. My brother got out, and we walked around there. We sat and waited. And my brother-in-law turned his pump on, come over and give us our gas.
Who's your brother-in-law?
Joe, I'm sorry.
He's the brother-in-law?
Yes, ma'am. And he come over and give us the gas card where we can get gas when we got up there.
Okay.
And he went back in to get coffee and got his coffee, come back out, and the guy was still sitting there, the defended. Or
What,
the plaintiff.
what were they doing?
Ma'am, I don't know.
They were just sitting in the truck?
Sitting in the truck, yes.
Okay. Had they put gas in their car?
Yes, they were.
Did you see them put gas in their car?
Yes, we were pulling in. He was shutting the gas tank and getting in.
Was he alone at that time?
She was in the truck with him.
So he gets finished putting gas in his truck and comes over to give you the card so that you could put gas in your truck.
Yeah, he started his and started pumping it and brought me the card.
And you're sitting behind these people. Now,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happens next, sir?
We sat there, and like I said, he went and got coffee. The whole time they were just sitting in their truck. He come back and he hollered, "You guys move your truck." She turned around and looked. And they kept sitting there. He said, "Move the damn truck." And the guy just, about 4 or 5 inches, just burned his tire and stopped. Just sat there.
What are you talking about? He just burned his... You mean he moved the truck?
Just about 6 inches, just barely burnt the tires,
Okay.
just enough to make the tires burn. And then my brother-in-law continuously told him, "Come on, move the truck, we got to go." And she opened the back window and told him, "Wait a effing minute, we'll move the truck." And he told her to shut up. And
Who
move
told
the-
her to shut up?
My brother-in-law. "You just shut up, move the truck."
Who was
And,
driving the truck?
The gentleman.
He was.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And
Uncross your arms.
oh, I'm sorry. And then he got out of the truck. The plaintiff got out of the truck, slammed his door open, and come out towards my brother-in-law with his fist rolled up. So my brother-in-law,
Explain to me. Fist rolled up. Show me what that means.
like, he come out like this and come towards you. And my brother-in-law grabbed him by his shirt because, you know, it looked like to me he was wanting to fight. When he come out, it looked like he was going to hit him. So he grabbed him. They started rolling around on the truck. My brother, that couldn't make it today, grabbed my brother-in-law, and I grabbed him, and I was holding him, and all the words stopped, and he relaxed. So I let him go. When I let him go, he took and swung and hit my brother-in-law in his glasses. His glasses cut his eye. So my other brother let him go because, you know, there wasn't no sense of holding him and letting him get, you know, beat up. So then they continued fighting. Anyway, they wrestled towards the truck, and they separated, and he told his wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure what she is, and told her, "Come on, get in the truck, let's go." So she got in, he took off, burning the tires out of there.
Now let me hear your version, sir.
Okay, I was getting gas.
Uncross your arms.
I was pumping gas when the truck pulled up behind me, just like they said. He pulled up at another gas pump. I don't believe he was getting gas. He walked over, started talking to the 2 guys behind me. When I was done getting gas, I got in my truck, I adjusted my seat, put my seatbelt on. Before I could drive away, he started punching the bed of my truck, yelling, "Let's go, let's go, let's go."
It's not true, Your Honor. I object.
I didn't ask you to say a word.
She opened the back...
Just a second. Did you understand what I
Yes,
said?
ma'am.
She opened the back window and said, "Stop hitting my truck." I said, "Move this piece." I let that go. I started to drive away. My 6-month-old son, who was in the front seat, dropped his bottle. I stopped, picked it up, handed it to him. Before I could drive away again, he started hitting the truck again, and now he started yelling, "Ram him, ram him, ram him," push him out of the way. At this point, I wanted to get out of the truck to see how many dents he put in my truck, which he did. He put 3 in the bed. She told him, before I could get out, I said, "Stop hitting the truck, and if you give us a second, we're moving." That's when he said, "Shut your mouth, you crazy effing bee."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The next thing I know, I'm on all fours, blood pouring out of my face.
I looked towards the truck, looking at his rearview mirror. Said, "Hey, move the truck."
Your hot temper started the problem. My temper is going to finish it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Meisted claims he was assaulted by Joseph Gocher. Joseph says Jason was blocking the pumps at a gas station.
Go ahead.
I got out of the truck to see the damage. Before I could even get back to the damage, he grabbed me by the throat with both hands and bent me backwards over into the bed of the truck. I then stood up. When I stood up...
right.
When I stood up, he still had me by the throat. I don't know who it was, but one of the guys in the truck behind me grabbed my arms and put them behind my back. She, at this point, tried to help me. She couldn't do anything because one of the other guys grabbed her and threw her back into the gas pump. I don't know who it was, had my arms behind my back. They ran me into the door that was open. The next thing I know, I'm on all fours, blood pouring out of my face. I jumped up, I told her, I said, "Get in the truck." She got in the truck, we drove home, and I called 911.
When you called 911, did you file a report?
Yes.
Can I see the report, please? Did you know him from before?
No.
Says when his neighbor, later identified as Joseph Gocher, is he a neighbor of yours?
He lives 4 houses down.
So what do you mean you didn't know him before?
I mean, I've seen him, but I didn't know him. I don't know who he is.
4 houses down from where you're currently living?
Yes.
Did you ever had any problem with him before?
No.
And you didn't know his name?
No.
Who's Robert?
It's my brother.
Hmm? Well, at least Robert's honest. Robert tried to restrain him because he knows he's got a bad temper. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Sit down. Now, Mr. Gocher, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Yes, ma'am. Upon pulling into the gas station, I put my truck in one stall, started fueling it, and we used a company credit card. It was company vehicles. I then took the card over to Robert, gave it to him while we were waiting for Mr. Mystad to move. I went into the store, got coffee, came back out. They still hadn't pulled up, but his truck was running. I finished fueling mine, and then I asked Robert, which was one of the other crew members, I asked him what the problem was. And I walked over there to the front of our crew truck. And he said, the guy won't move. He's still sitting there. So I looked towards the truck, looking at his rearview mirror, said, hey, move the truck. And
Let me stop you there for a moment, sir. According to what you just told me, you started the gas pumping in your truck, is that right? And then you went in for coffee?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me about going in for coffee.
Well, I started the gas pump in my truck.
Correct.
I have a separate vehicle. I walked over, handed my brother-in-law the card.
Right.
And then I went in.
Just a second. That just took a couple of seconds, right?
Right. And then I went inside to make coffee.
Shh. You didn't say anything to him. You just handed him the card and said, you know, he understood that he was supposed to fill up the gas tank.
Correct.
Correct? And meanwhile, the gas is still pumping in your truck. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you went inside. Were there other people inside in the
there was
convenience
a few,
store?
yes.
How many?
Oh, roughly 5.
And so you went over to get coffee. Did you get a large coffee or a small coffee?
I got a 20-ounce cup of coffee.
You take your coffee black?
No, cream and sugar.
So after you filled in this 20-ounce cup, then you put in cream. How many?
2.
And sugar? How many?
It's in a big container for roughly 2-3 tablespoons or 2-3 teaspoons.
And then you walked over to pay.
Correct.
Was there anyone before you when you paid?
There was one person at the counter, yes.
And so they had to pay for whatever they were getting. Is that right?
They were in the process, yes.
And did they get change?
Yeah.
And what about you? How much was your 20-ounce coffee?
$1.06.
Did you have exact change?
I gave her $1 and a dime.
And she had to make change?
I leave it. I never even get it. I walk out after that.
Okay. Now you're walking out and you've got this hot cup of coffee in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you walked over to your truck, I assume, to get rid of this hot cup of coffee.
Actually, I set it on the toolbox because my truck had finished pumping. I set it on the toolbox.
That's my point, sir. You put on the gas. You didn't stay with your truck. You walked inside, took care of your business. Anybody who pulled up behind you waiting for your truck to be finished would have to sit and wait for you to come out from getting your coffee with cream and sugar and paying the bill and waiting behind somebody else who was also getting their stuff. You didn't give a rat's behind about somebody waiting for you. You said, let him wait. You didn't even think about it. You
No,
went
Your Honor.
inside. Oh, sure, because
No.
you said my gas was already finished pumping.
No, because I know how long it takes for me to walk in,
Boom!
get a cup,
Boom!
and my truck was totally empty,
You know,
so I know how long it takes
I'm
to
10
fill
steps
up.
ahead of you, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Mystad claims he was assaulted by Joseph Gocher. Joseph says Jason was blocking the pumps at a gas station.
So, you walked inside and you didn't care. You said, walk inside and get my coffee. You didn't finish putting the gas in the car, putting back the cover, moving your truck over to the side so that somebody else could come and get gas. You took care of your business.
There was
And
nobody
then you
behind
went,
me waiting.
Just a second. And then, well, that being the case, sir, you could have had him pull up behind you. It didn't bother you one bit that somebody may have been waiting an extra maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, maybe 1 minute for you to come out with your coffee and move your truck.
No,
that didn't bother you at all. You
If
are
somebody's
some
behind me-
hothead.
If somebody
You
was
are
behind me-
some hothead. And Robert knows it, because Robert said to the police, I went over there because he's a hothead, and I wanted to make sure he didn't cause any trouble. That's what Robert said to the police.
No, when I'm confrontated, yes, I do tend to go.
Confrontated is not a word, sir.
Well,
not in the English language. Not in the English language.
Confronted.
You got a hot temper. What do you think he was doing in there? Do you think he was writing a song? What do you think he was doing in the truck? He's got his wife or girlfriend who's pregnant. He's got a baby, a 6-month-old baby in the car. What do you think he's doing? For you to get so excited. You want to be a human being? You walk over and you say, is there something wrong? Is there any reason you're not moving? You don't shout like you did and call her a name like you did. Because even he knows you did it.
I admit to doing it.
Well, then
No
you're
problem.
responsible. Then you're responsible for the damage to his car.
But I didn't hit his truck. I never touched his truck.
Listen to me, sir. His truck was damaged, according to the police, by him being thrown into the car.
To the door.
Right. You're responsible for that. You started the problem.
I offered
Your
to pay for the door.
Your hot temper started the problem. My temper is going to finish it. Because there was no reason for you to put your hands on him to start this whole confrontation. You took your sweet time going into a convenience store, getting your coffee, and you didn't give a hoot about who was waiting behind you, about somebody else looking to pull their car up and get gas. When I get finished, I can just imagine your attitude if someone who was behind your truck saying, what do you mean you went in to get coffee and just left your truck here? What are you, crazy? You stupid SOB? You would explode. You would have a fit.
If somebody was behind me, I'd just move the truck out of the way.
How can you do that, sir? You're putting cream in your coffee.
There was nobody,
Can
there
I
was
see the
nobody
damage
behind
to
me.
your truck, please? Mr. Maistat, I'm not finished with you either. I want to tell you something. You didn't use your brains either because you're dealing with someone who is not wrapped too tight, who's got a hot temper, who got your goat because he called your wife a name. You get out of your car or your truck, she's in the car, you got a baby in the car, and you start a confrontation with him. That's not swift, sir. That's not swift. You're dealing with somebody who has a bad temper. You're better off pulling away, going to the police, and saying, I believe someone just damaged my car. This is what their car looked like. Right?
True.
Right? That's what you do when you're dealing with somebody who's a lunatic. My only problem is, the only reason he wasn't arrested is because he had 2 witnesses who testified to some cock and bull story. You have pictures of yourself, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. I see a lot of feet pictures. I don't see any injury here, sir.
It's the ankle.
What happened to your ankle?
Well, I broke it back in on June 30th. I just got off a cane when this all happened, and there's a re-injury. Here's my emergency room records of going back in.
How much did the emergency room cost you?
It was $619.
Between the emergency room visit only, which is all that I'm considering, and the damage to the car, which is $1,724, $2,343. Now, what you're suing for is $5,000, sir, because you want also to be paid for lost wages due to assault, to the assault.
Yes.
What lost wages did you have?
Well, like I said, I broke my ankle on June 30th. I was on crutches for 6 weeks with the cast. When I got the cast off, I was on crutches for a month. I went to rehabilitation, was on a cane.
That has nothing to do with him.
Well, no, I just got off a cane, just got back to work. When he assaults me, and with the emergency room records there and seeing my doctor, I was back on disability for another month.
Chalk that up to your own stupidity. I told you that there is a contributory negligence on your part, contributory stupidity. If you would just get off of crutches, he was wife or his girlfriend?
His girlfriend.
Girlfriend had to take care of you 6 months. You weren't working. You explained to me the wisdom of getting out of the truck, your truck, to confront him.
Well, when somebody's punching your truck, don't I have the right to get out and look at the damage?
No, what you're supposed to do when you have a nut who's hitting your car.
I didn't know he was a nut.
Oh, no? You didn't know he was a nut? You didn't know he was hitting your car because you weren't moving fast enough?
And I don't have the right to get out and check out the damage?
I'm not talking about right. I'm talking about using your brains. I'm talking about trying to be a little smart, just like you drove off and try to find a police officer. Is that what you try to do? Then you do that first. You don't do that after the damage is done. You try to do that first, especially when you have a baby in the car.
I did try to drive away the first time.
Yes.
And they punched my truck again.
So, even more so, the guy's a real nut. He hit my car a second time, and I'm driving away. How many babies do you have?
This will be number 2.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of both the damage and the emergency room treatment, which is $2,343. As far as your lost wages is concerned, chalk that up to the fact that you didn't use good judgment, because He is a hot-tempered idiot. Doesn't mean that you react when you have a baby in the car to somebody who's acting inappropriately and like they're not wrapped too tight. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a responsible parent. By the way, is there any reason why the two of you aren't married?
We're engaged.
Is there any reason why the two of you who are having a second child, why they are not married?
What does that matter?
I'm just curious. I said as a matter of curiosity.
We're actually-
Matter of responsibility.
We've been engaged and we plan on getting married, yes.
Well, is there any reason, madam, why before you have your second child that you don't decide to make that
Because I
kind
don't
of a
want to be
commitment?
pregnant walking down my aisle. I want to...
Well, you had some time between the first and the second, didn't you?
Case number 307 on the calendar in the matter of Sane versus Ross. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Sane, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you, scratched your face, causing you to bleed, scarring, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
When her car, which had been illegally parked in an area where you live,
Yes, ma'am.
when you requested that she move that car,
Yes, ma'am.
the defendant says that she was only there for a minute and that she was merely defending herself, but she has very long nails, which caused the scratching to your face. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, on what date did this happen?
April 2nd.
Where?
At my apartment where I live, out in the front parking area.
Are there outdoor parking spaces?
There is 6 spaces on each side. When she parked her car into the fire lane, there was empty spots that she could have parked in.
Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. It wasn't a fire lane, and my car was not illegally parked. I backed in to unload a vacuum cleaner. She illegally parked because she backed around.
No, Miss Ross. Listen to me. Your car was not parked in a legal spot.
It wasn't illegally parked either.
What does that mean, madam? You explain what that means to me.
It was not parked in a fire lane.
Where was it parked? It was parked in a regular parking space?
No, it was parked in the middle of it.
In the middle of
the
what?
driveway. It was parked in the middle of the driveway.
Oh, okay. So it's parked in the middle of a driveway.
Exactly. She could have went around either way.
Why didn't you park the car in an appropriate parking place?
Because I was only in and out. I went there to drop off a vacuum.
Just a minute. So you parked your car in an illegal place in a driveway. That's what you did. Now, you were where? You came home and found the car there, or your car was already there?
I had went to my storage space, me and my witness and another friend. We had pulled my truck back to the very back of the apartments. I live in a 4-plex. And when I came out, the way I had went in, I couldn't go back out that way because there was vehicles filling my side and on the other duplex's side. So I was going to go around the very first car, go out through the front. But the lady that lives in apartment B, she always parks real far back, and her car was parked in the fire lane. I could not get through there.
Okay. So you could not get through to pull out so that you could get into your parking space?
Yes, ma'am.
Because her car was blocking you?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I honked the horn. Like I said, we live in a small, it's just a 4-plex. I figured whoever owned it would come out. Nobody did.
Now, when you went into your storage space, was her car there?
No, ma'am.
How long were you in the storage space?
Probably about 30 minutes.
And when you came out, her car was there, and you said you started honking the horn. What happened when you honked the horn?
The children from the apartment next to me came up and asked me what my problem was, and I asked them if they knew who the car belonged to, and they said yes, that her name was Evelyn, and she was at their parents' house. And I asked them if they could go ask her to move it.
Did they do that?
Yes, ma'am, and they came back and said that she said she would move it when she got ready.
Okay, and about how long were the children gone?
Just a few minutes.
A minute or two? No
Yes,
more than
ma'am.
that. And then what's the very next thing that happened?
About that time, she came around the corner, and she started walking over to her car, and I told her she needed to move her car at that time. And she stated that
What did you say to her?
I told her that she needed to move her car.
That's not what she said.
No, I'm sure that's not what
That
she
is
said.
not what
What
she
did
said.
you say?
That's the nicest version she could have put it in.
I want to know what you said to her.
I told her that she needed to move the car at that time, and she said she was not going to move the car.
That's
and
what she said.
And I said, yes.
I don't want to hear you until I look at you and say to you, speak. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yeah, I hear you.
No, that's not my question. My question is, do you understand? Not whether you hear. I was sure you heard me. Question is, do you understand what I said?
I understand.
Good. Now.
So I told her, yes, you will move the car.
And then what happened?
I went to the apartment right in where my truck was parked at, apartment B, and asked them if I could use the phone to call the police.
Okay.
And I called the police, and I told them that there was a lady parked in the fire lane. She wouldn't move the car. I had my back towards her, and just as I started to turn around...
You were in somebody's apartment? Or?
No, I was outside beside my truck, which was a good 25 feet away from her car.
Okay, go ahead.
I had my back towards Miss Ross, and I just started to turn around, and I seen her running at me from behind. And at that point, she stabbed me underneath my eye with her keys and began to scratch my face.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She came out cussing and being very belligerent to me, and she kept cussing at me. She came out with that phone and swung. When she swung at me, she got swung back on.
And later today,
your son was in jail. Domestic abuse. You spoke to your granddaughter.
I called her that day. That day I got called out of work to get $500 for my father to get bailed out of jail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melba Sane says, during an argument over a parking space, Evelyn Ross gouged her eyes. Evelyn says Melba swung first.
Okay. You have photographs of what your face looked like?
Your Honor, that's not what happened. That's not the truth.
I thought you said you understood.
I guess I forgot saying that, but that's not the truth.
I thought you said you understood.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'll hear you.
Miss Sane started off by telling me to move my car, and she said it at least 5 times, and there is a police report from me to the Arlington police saying that. I told her she did not have to talk to me like that in order for me to move my car. On April 2nd, 2002, my daughter had a state track meet in which I was already running late to get to. She came out cussing and being very belligerent to me was the reason I got defensive. When she got those people's phone, she ran up to the car on the phone, shaking her finger at me. I'm moving my car, and she was still coming out.
Just a second, Miss Ross. You just said that she came up shaking her finger at you, but you were already moving your car.
Right.
Right. So you were inside of your car.
Right.
But there came a time when you moved outside of your car, because I'm looking at these photographs of her face. So at some point, you got out of your car. When did you get out of your car?
I got out of my car once it was out of the middle of the parking lot into a parking place.
Okay, now just 1 second, so that let me understand this, Miss Ross. You were in your car, and she was being belligerent, and she was on the phone, and she was yelling and cursing at you.
Right.
So you get into your car, and you put it in reverse?
Yes.
And you move back.
Into a parking spot.
Just a second. You move back.
Right.
Into a parking space.
Right.
And then what do?
I got out of my car.
Now you're on your way, and you're running late to your daughter's track meet. You want to explain to me why you got out of your car?
Because I left something inside of the house.
Really?
And
what
yes.
did you leave inside of the house?
I'm not sure at this point what it was, but I got out of my car for a reason. Either my cigarettes or something, cigarettes, lighter, one of the two.
Either your cigarettes or your lighter that were, I assume, more important than the track meet that your daughter was in.
No, it wasn't
running
more
late
important.
For.
It wasn't more
So
important.
what did you do when you got out of the car?
I got out of the car and attempted to go back around to my friend's house, and she kept cussing at me. And when she came out with that phone and swung. When she swung at me, she got exactly those scratches. She got swung back on. She swung first, and Arlington Police Department have a report saying so. She swung first. That's the reason it wasn't a criminal case.
I'll see the police report, please.
See it.
I'll see the police report. You think I believe your story that you left something inside? That you were in such fear, Miss Ross, quiet, that you were in such fear of her screaming and cursing at you that you were in your car, you could have gone your own way and stopped off and bought another lighter or a pack of cigarettes, whichever it was that was so important that you can't even remember it now. You would have been out of harm's way and gone, except you decided to pull into a parking space and get out and not confront her. Oh, no. To go back inside to the apartment that you just came from to get something that you can't remember as we speak now and cause this type of damage to her face.
That was from my hand. That's not from a key.
Speak not.
Your Honor.
Shh. Well, that's very unfortunate. This friend of yours who finally, after several missed appointments, went to talk to the police. Nobody else, according to the investigating police officer, wanted to get involved in this whole incident. I wonder why. I am satisfied after hearing your testimony and after hearing your testimony that you were the instigator in this whole incident, Miss Ross. You had the absolute ability to extricate yourself, to leave this argument, which you had caused by illegally parking your car.
What was
Because
she
I'm
started?
speaking! By illegally parking your car and then saying to the kids who came in to tell you to please move your car that I'll move my car when I'm good and ready. That's the kind of persona that I'm seeing as you're standing here testifying today. Those are the exact words that would come out of your mouth. Now, I'm not saying that Miss Sane didn't use some vulgarities when you finally did come out. I believe she did. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That does not give you the right to cause the injuries that you did, which you caused. And for that, I am awarding the plaintiff $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused.
She was the instigator.
She approached me and attacked me from behind.
She started it.
I have a statement from a dermatologist about the scars on my face.
She got her butt whooped because of it.
The hole in my face.
Looked like someone had been mauled by a grizzly bear.
She came out cussing and swinging at me.
It's consistent, he says, with a stab wound.
And I'm not gonna ever let anybody hit me and just walk away or drive away.
She told me she would be back.
She came after me and she got tore up because of it.
This isn't the end.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus Atkinson. Step forward, please.
Babysitter Jackie White is suing her granddaughter, 20-year-old nurse's assistant Melissa Atkinson, for an unpaid loan to bail her father out of jail.
Miss Atkinson, how old are you?
20.
This is your grandma.
Yep.
Who do you live with now?
Me and my fiance and my daughter.
How old is your daughter?
8 months.
When you were growing up, who did you live with?
My mother.
Only your mother?
Yep.
What about your father?
Non-existent.
That's her son, is that right? Did you have any sort of relationship with your grandmother?
Yep. Somewhat.
As you were growing up, you saw her?
Yep.
Try yes, it sounds
Yes.
nicer. It's a courtroom. How frequently did you see your grandmother as you were growing up?
More when I was younger than now.
And you saw her despite the fact that you had no relationship with your father. He wasn't around.
He was around, but not often.
Shh, put your hand down. So she was around more than your dad?
Yep. Yes.
When you say she was around more than your dad, she would come to visit you or you would go and spend time with her even though her son wasn't around?
Yes.
So you would say that during the time you were little, and even a little older, she was a reasonable grandparent?
Yes.
Now I'm going to get to the case. Ms. White, you're suing your granddaughter because you claim that there was a time, some time ago, recently, that your son was in jail, was incarcerated, and needed bail money. He called you. You had most of the bail money that he needed. Whatever you had was about $470. $400 for bail and $70 for some fee. You spoke to your granddaughter. Your granddaughter managed to get together another $100. You posted $500 bail for your son. Sometime later, he appeared in court. Bail was returned, but it was returned to your granddaughter, and your granddaughter did not give you back your money. Granddaughter says that you never gave her a dime. Okay? That's what the case is about.
Right.
Which is the reason that I was asking you a whole bunch of questions, Ms. Atkinson, because I didn't know what kind of relationship you had with your grandmother, and I don't know why your grandmother would sue you anyway, even if what she says is true, because that's sort of something that family doesn't do, especially for not life-altering amounts of money. So you're going to explain that too to me, Ms. White.
I had to borrow the money from my sister. She wired it up Western Union for me to get the bail money. And then I had to pay her back. And I was expecting to get my money back from Melissa when this bond was paid back.
When did your son call you?
April 27th. I've got a phone number here where I called my sister on the 28th. She wired the money up the 28th.
When was your son incarcerated?
27th.
For what?
I've got a record here. You'll have to look at this.
Can I see it, please? Domestic abuse. Who was he living with?
His girlfriend.
So she was the complainant in the case?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so you got the money, and you got about $400.
Melissa put in $100.
Okay, and when did you call her?
I called her that day to go with me, ask her if she had any money to help me pay the bill. She said she'd get up $100. I told her I had $400 coming.
And that's what the bail was, $500?
Yes, she went with me to pick up the money from the Western Union. She was with me when I picked it up. We proceeded to the jailhouse. I let her put it in her name. It's my granddaughter. I don't think she's going to try and get the money, keep the money from me. The day he got out, the day this was all dismissed, I called her up, told her she'd go down and pick up the money. According to her, she didn't have a driver's license. She needed $700 and something for a license. I said, I can't do that. get your mass ID. I can't do that, she says. So that was it. I never did see the money. That was the end of it.
Okay, go ahead.
All I have to say is if it was all of her money, like she claims, first it's so many different amonts. First
That's
it's
$400.
First it's $470. Now it's $400.
No, she
and
never
early
said it.
on it was $350.
Oh, you tell me your version of the story.
I'm just telling you that if it was all her money, that day I got called out of work to come and get $500 up.
Tell me what happened.
I got called out of work to get $500 up.
By
to
whom?
get my father, by her, for my father, to get bailed out of jail. So I got called out of work, had to come home, find money, spend the whole day waiting for a bail bondsman, and then of course it's my money, I'm going to put my name down so I can get my money
Where did you
back.
get the money from?
I had some cash saved over from my daughter's savings bonds.
Run that by me again.
They give me money to get savings bonds for my daughter.
Who does?
His family, my fiance's family. So I had that in a drawer.
How much did you have?
500.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Why would I have Western Union?
I don't believe you.
That's fine.
I know it's fine. But don't you feel ridiculous coming up and telling a bald-faced lie?
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are. I mean, it's a bald-faced lie, and it sounds so stupid.
Well, if it was her money, why didn't she put it in her name? What was the whole point of that
That's not
anyway?
the issue. The issue is that family usually trusts each other. Family usually trusts each other. Do I think that you have $500 in cash sitting around because your fiancé's family over the course of 6 months or a year has given you money for your 8-month-old child that you just keep in a drawer?
Yeah.
And you have a job?
Yep.
What kind of a job do you have?
Nursing assistant.
You get paid check or cash?
Cash.
Cash?
Yep.
Interesting. When was the last time you filed tax returns?
Last year.
Good. How much did you report on your tax returns?
$12,000.
So you have a checking account?
No.
Really?
Really?
You keep all the money that you make in cash in your house?
Most of it.
That's dumb.
It works. Might not work for you, but it works for me.
You have to see. Now, what I don't understand is why a 20-year-old girl who seems not to have really started her life out in an orderly fashion to begin with, by having an 8-month-old child, being unwed, having a job, no checking account, no savings account, I assume, why you would want to cut off a grandparent who had been perfectly reasonable to you during your growing up years. I have no idea. But if attitude could make you wealthy, you'd be a very wealthy woman. Attitude is not going to make you wealthy. Being an honest person will make you at least an honorable person. Never going to get there. Thick. Maybe it's your son's genes. I hope not. Well, maybe. Anyway, the $70 she doesn't owe you. She owes you $400 because the bail was $500. It may have cost you $70 to get the money from your sister, but all you put down was $400. I believe that you put down $400 in bail, and I believe she got that money back, and I believe she decided...
Knights and parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Tell me your name.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy? Would you come up here? Come up here.
Can you make it up here? Oh, there you go. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
You have a big, strong voice. How old are you, Jimmy?
6 years old.
I have a couple of questions for you. You think you can think real hard so you can answer these questions? I understand that you got shot in the head with a BB. Can you tell me what happened?
I was in my yard.
You were in your yard?
And Chase had a BB gun shooting at a piece of foam.
Who had a BB gun? Chase?
Chase.
Is that little boy over there, Chase? Is he your friend?
Yes, he was, but when he shot me with the BB gun, when I had to go to the doctor, and when I got back home, Mom said I could never play with him again. And I stayed in the house.
It was an accident, though, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. He didn't mean to hurt you, did he? He did?
Yeah, he said, I'm going to shoot you. Now I'm going to really shoot you.
We have to talk to him about that, okay? Did you shake hands? Maybe we will later. I'm going to have to talk with him right now, okay? Okay, why don't you go step down?
Watch your step, partner.
Cute.
All right. See.
Chase, come on up here.
Oh.
Good. Hi.
Hi.
Chase, Jimmy is a friend of yours? Or he was?
He goes to my school.
And you're a nice boy? And he's a nice boy? Where'd you get this BB gun from?
From behind my papa's door.
That where your papa leaves it?
Now he leaves it in his closet.
And is the closet locked now? But he used to leave it just behind the door? So it's your grandpa's gun? Or your daddy's?
It's my dad's or my grandpa's.
But it used to be just behind the door. In whose room?
My papa's.
What were you doing with the BB gun when Jimmy got shot?
Shooting beer bottles with my next door neighbor.
And how old is your next door neighbor?
14.
Who was with you at home that day, Chase?
My grandma.
Just your grandma?
And my sister and brother.
And where was your daddy?
At work.
And your papa?
He was at work.
Did you ask permission to take the BB gun out? Are you supposed to ask permission? So you didn't do the right thing, right? You didn't mean to hurt Jimmy, did you? I didn't think so. What happened when your daddy found out that you had shot Jimmy with the BB gun? Did he tell you not to do that anymore?
Told not to.
Would you like to sort of shake hands with Jimmy and maybe you could try to be friends again? What about you? Not ready to do that yet? Okay. Okay, Chase, why don't you go sit down next to your papa? So that's what this case is about. Right. This case is about one little boy who got shot in the head with a BB gun, and I gather from the complaint that the doctors have decided to leave the BB in his head rather than do some surgery. And Ms. Sullivan, what you want is you want the defendant to pay for all the medical bills that you have and some money for pain and suffering.
Correct.
I'm ready for your defense, sir.
Well, first of all, I think that this could have been stopped if she would have told me, first of all, that he had the BB gun, because when I went over there to talk to him, she told me, she said she seen Chase running around with the BB gun, waving it around. So I was just wondering, you know, when she told me that, why didn't she come to me and tell me that in the first place?
You were working.
I was not at work.
That's what he said.
I know, but he's mistaken.
So you were home?
I was at home. I was in the living room.
Oh, that's even worse. So you were at home.
Yes, ma'am.
In a situation where you were totally responsible for your sons having access to an instrument that could cause serious physical injury to somebody else that was not secured. You are 100% responsible for Jimmy's medical bills, out-of-pocket expenses. It was your responsibility. Is this your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Your father's responsibility to ensure that that BB gun was secured so that your 6-year-old son could take it and hurt anybody else or himself. You know that that's true. Now, I don't know whether Miss Sullivan could tell from this BB gun whether or not it was a toy or capable of hurting anybody or whether it was loaded or not loaded. Who knows that? But you certainly knew that it was capable of causing injury, and your father certainly knew that, and both of you understood that it was not the right place to keep it, behind some door, and it's now secured in a place where he can't get it, right? So it's secured now. It was a little too late. So let me see the bills. 1, 2, 3. Fast, and be very, very happy, Mr. Knighton, that he didn't lose an eye.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an X-ray that indicates where this BB is?
I do.
Have you ever
pulled
seen
one
that,
out?
Mr. Knighton?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it.
It's still in his head.
Is this the first time that your son has taken out that BB gun?
I don't think so.
How many times did you play with this BB gun?
One.
One time before this?
I played with it 2 times over at the next door neighbors. We're shooting beer bottles.
On a different day or the same day?
Different day.
So you had that BB gun out twice. And where was your daddy the first time you had it out? Did anybody know you had it out the first time?
I think it was at home, or it was at home.
Did your daddy know you had the gun out the first time you had it out, shooting beer bottles?
No.
How big is this gun?
Not from here to here.
That's pretty big. Is it heavy?
My dad's is this long.
That's pretty heavy for you to carry, isn't it?
No, it was mine. It was my BB gun.
What does that mean?
His mom bought him the BB gun.
So this is his BB gun. It's not yours or your father's.
That's right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's going to give me a knife when I get 15.
If you're smart, you'll ask him to get you a microscope or a doctor's kit so that you can hope to be something that's really good and not a thug with a knife.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Sullivan says her 6-year-old son, Jimmy Johnson, was shot in the head with a BB gun. Gail says the shooter was her neighbor's son, 6-year-old Chase Knighton.
Where is his mother?
His mother is off somewhere.
Off?
She abandoned us.
Okay. When did she buy this BB gun?
Christmas.
She bought it for him. I didn't want him to have it. And he insisted. He cried about it because I know I never wanted him to have it in the first place. I knew he was too young. Should never have one. But
right. Your dad has to take that BB gun and put it away for a very long time.
Yeah.
So that you can't even touch it. Do you understand? Maybe when you're 15 or 16 years old, your daddy will be able to take it out. And when you're responsible enough to use it right, he'll be able to give it to you. But it's not the right thing for you to even hold it. Because you're not big enough yet to do that. Do you understand?
Yeah, he's going to give me a knife when I get 15.
A knife? I want to tell you what your papi's going to get you when you're 15. He's going to get you a microscope. If you're smart, you'll ask him to get you a microscope or a doctor's kit, you know, so that you can aspire to be something, so that you can hope to be something that's really good, you know, like a doctor or a lawyer and not a thug with a knife. That's not good. Do you understand? Not good. Certain things are good, certain things are not. What does your daddy do for a living? No. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a warehouse manager.
He works in a warehouse, and he's a manager. He manages a lot of other people and tells them where things go. He has a very important job. You think that he handles that job because he has a big knife? And you know what kind of a job your papi used to have?
He's told me he used to be a marshal.
A marshal? Is that right?
I'm a deputy marshal with Alabama Supreme Court.
See, so he has a job that's related to the law, right? He's a deputy marshal in the court system. It's a very important job. And he doesn't need a knife for that job. You've got to teach him the right thing. And if he wants the wrong thing, you have to sort of reorient him.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Can I say something? The knife he's talking about is one of those little knives with the fingernail file in it and the toothpick and everything.
By the time he gets to be 15, he's not going to want that knife.
Well, that'd be the only one he get.
Good. All right. Well, there's no question that you folks are responsible for these medical bills. There's no question in regard to that. I think that they were absolutely 100% negligent allowing this weapon to be in a position where he could get his hands on it. I have a feeling that these two gentlemen have a very full plate. I also think, Jimmy, that he's probably a very nice little boy. He did a bad thing, and you should really probably give him another chance. I think that that would be a nice thing to do. I really do. Because you're supposed to forgive somebody if they're really sorry. You are sorry for what happened, aren't you? He really is sorry. He would really like to be your friend. Think you're willing to give him another chance? I sort of like that idea. Come on.
Okay.
Give him one shake. Go ahead. That's good. See, that didn't hurt. Good. All right, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,654, which are the actual damages, and another $1,000 punitive damages, $2,654. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Chase knew that he wasn't supposed to take that gun out of the house. I don't know why he took it out.
Jimmy said he told him he was going to shoot him with a gun, and I feel like that this child shouldn't have had the gun.
Keep the gun away from small children and keep it locked up.
That could have been a pistol. My son could be dead.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Palazzo, step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Aubrey Davis is suing her sister, custodian Claudia Colazzo, for the cost of her son's medical bills. Aubrey says she paid for his treatment after he suffered an epileptic seizure.
Miss Davis, how are you related to the defendant?
She's my sister.
And this is your nephew?
Yes, correct.
Your son?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he was staying with you for a brief period of time. While he was with you, he had a seizure.
Correct.
You suffer from epilepsy?
Yes.
And he was taken to the emergency room. There was a medical bill of over $1,500, and you want your sister to be responsible for that.
Correct.
When did he come to live with you?
July 5th.
Prior to that, where was he living?
I believe he was at Stephanie's house, which is who he's living with now.
Who's Stephanie?
It is his dad's ex-wife. That's as much as I know about her.
Step up here, please. Tell me your name.
Richard Ornelas.
Before you came to live with your aunt in July, who were you living with?
My brother's mom, Stephanie.
How long had you been living with her?
About a year.
And how old were you when you went to live with Stephanie?
15.
Why weren't you living with your mother?
My mom just told me, you know, leave. My mom told me to leave.
But she told you to leave when you were 15?
Yeah.
When did he get sick?
July 6th.
Is that right?
Yes.
You were with your aunt for only one day before you had a seizure?
Yes.
Had you had seizures before?
Yes.
Did you have seizures when you lived with your mom?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down, Richard? Have a copy of the bills?
Yes.
Can I see them, please?
I also have a copy here from the hospital that shows that I never signed. And I asked them for the copy of the law stating that she's responsible for the bills since I didn't sign that paper. And all they gave me was the law. They didn't give me a copy of the actual law.
You took him to the hospital, is that right?
The ambulance took him and I arrived there with them.
Okay, Ms. Collazo. All's in your court. Why are you not responsible for these bills?
January of 2002, Richard moved out of my house. I did not throw him out. I was having problems with him at school. He was arrested. He was in juvie. He didn't want to obey by my laws. I have documentation that Stephanie had guardianship of Richard since January of 30th of 2002.
Stephanie was married to his father.
I don't know if they were legally married, but they had children.
Okay. That's where he went to live.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And
where is his father?
Pardon?
Where's his father?
Where is his father? He lives in Las Vegas.
Okay, go ahead.
I have documentation of everything, of the guardianship papers.
Guardianship doesn't mean that Stephanie is financially responsible for him.
No, but he was living with her at the time.
Yes.
I didn't know that he was living with Aubrey.
Yes.
I received a phone call from Aubrey's husband stating that Richard was in the hospital. And I told him, well, don't have her sign anything. Get a hold of Stephanie. She has guardianship since I live 63 miles out of town.
Well, somebody has to admit him.
I was assumed that he was admitted. He was brought by ambulance. I don't know what was going on. All I had is a phone call.
Did you rush to the hospital?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I had no way to get there right then and there.
You don't have a car?
Yes, I have a car, but I did not have a way to get there.
Where was your car?
It was there. It was at home.
So what do you mean you had no way to get there?
Financially, I was not working at that time.
You were an hour away?
Yes. It was late at night.
So? You're in for a rude awakening, madam. Because someone has guardianship of your child,
right,
that doesn't make them financially responsible for your child.
Okay.
Parents are responsible for the necessaries of a child. Necessaries mean food, clothing, shelter, medical care, sometimes lawyers' fees, and a variety of other things.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't change unless you go to court and have your child emancipated. If your 15-year-old child is emancipated by some judge who's a little nutty, then maybe you won't have financial responsibility for the necessaries. But right now, you do. Not her.
Then why did she go in there and do what she did?
What did she do?
She jumped in my business. That's how I feel.
Your son came to our house on July 5th. He was there less than 24 hours and he had a seizure. What would you have suggested that she do, Ms. Collazo?
She did the right thing.
So then what are you complaining about?
Is why I'm being taken to court. Why not
Who's
the
supposed-
father?
You could sue the father and say, listen, I had to pay this bill, but you're partially responsible for it too. I'll pay half and you pay half. She doesn't have to go searching for the father who lives in Las Vegas.
Correct.
You do that.
Okay.
If you chose to allow him to leave your home and you chose to allow him to be under the guardianship of a biological stranger, that's within your family. But when it comes to his necessaries, you're not off the hook. If you want to sue his father, go to it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,590.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
How are you related to each other?
Friends.
How are you involved in this case?
That's my best friend. She borrowed him the money. She borrowed me the money to borrow him.
She loaned you the money.
Sorry, she loaned me the
That
money.
he allegedly borrowed from you.
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat? This is your father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's your claim that the father borrowed $200 from you and also has some property of yours that's not worth very much, but $80, a VCR and a quilt set. He says he never borrowed any money from you and you took all your property, put it outside, and you came by and you took it. What did you lend your father money for?
My best friend had borrowed or loaned me $200 to loan him $200 so he could move into the apartment that he is staying in with now with his girlfriend. He did not have the full deposit to move in.
When did he ask you for this money?
June 8th.
Did he call you on the phone?
Yeah, he called me on my cell phone.
Where were you living?
With my mother.
So your father called you and asked you to borrow money so that he could put down a deposit on an apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Why would he call his daughter?
He's called me many times to borrow money. He's borrowed money from me several times.
How old are you?
19.
What kind of work do you do?
I clean houses for a living. I work for Mary Maids.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Palmer?
I'm a truck driver, been a truck driver for 10 years.
You work steadily 5 days a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for?
Right now I'm working for D&D. What is it?
Don't ask her. She doesn't drive the truck.
Oh, I can't remember what it's D&D's services, I guess is what
It's
they call it.
D&D Realty. He maintenances for his landlord. He is not driving a truck.
On what date did you lend him this money?
June 9th.
Who were you working for on June 9th?
A1 Container. It's a trash business.
And how long had you been working for them?
Right around 7, 8 months.
So there was really no need for you to borrow money from your daughter?
No, ma'am. When all this was going on, I was in the process of a divorce. I was living in my truck for 2.5 months. The gentleman that I worked for at A1 Container was holding my paychecks so I didn't blow my money, so I would have the money to move in. This 200.
Why was he holding
I
your money?
asked him to hold a certain amount of money every week. I'd cash my check. I'd give him cash. We'd hold this for me so I don't blow my money, because he knew the predicament I was in. I'd been living in my truck for 2.5 months. This whole case started over, this was supposed to be a trip that Amanda, Sylvia's 7-year-old sister, was supposed to take to Kansas City. I couldn't get the time off of work because I had just started working.
Oh, what's your first name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Who's Sylvia?
This is Sylvia.
And who's 7-year-old?
That's her sister, and she's
She
6,
has
and that
nothing
is
to do.
incorrect. He had lost his job.
Go ahead.
We had planned a trip to go to Kansas City. It was supposed to be a week later than what they went. We told her not to go because her car would not make the trip. I had a SEI.
When was it?
The trip was supposed to take place. I take her, Your Honor, every year.
When was the trip?
June 22nd for her birthday. For the last 10 years, I've taken my daughter to Worlds of Fun.
She went. So what's the $200 for?
She went to Kansas City against my wishes. I had a mechanic look at her vehicle. The mechanic stated, your car is not worthy. I got a phone call at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on my pager from my girlfriend, Linda. Your daughter is in Kansas City. Her car broke down. She was 80 miles outside of Columbia, Missouri. She got on the interstate, left Worlds of Fun on 480.
Don't give me the road, sir. It doesn't make any
She
difference.
went the wrong direction.
So what was the $200 for?
She's stating that I borrowed $280 from her. I borrowed no money. I was supposed to pay for their trip to Kansas City. They went without me, and the mechanic told her not to go. The car broke down. They called me. I took time off of work. I borrowed money. I borrowed a car, drove to Kansas City, picked up my daughter, Sylvia, and a 7-year-old girl out in the middle of nowhere. The highway patrol had to find her for me.
How long did it take you to get there?
They called me at 2:30 in the afternoon. I showed up in Kansas City at 9:30 at night.
And when was this?
The day that they took the trip.
Your Honor, it was the 12th that
12th
we
of
were
what?
stuck out there, of June.
So you're telling me that your father borrowed money from $200 from you on June 9th,
Mhm.
and 3 days later he came out to Kansas City to get you.
Yes.
He did come out.
He came out to help me with my starter because my starter went out in my car. I had took it to my personal mechanic, and
No, I'm talking about you drove 11 hours to come and get you.
I called him at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
and he was not home. So his girlfriend called him and then called me back and let me know that he was working and he'd be out as soon as he could get off of work and
Your
he could
Honor.
find a car. I did not call him at his place of business. I do not know that.
Did your father
number.
come to get you on
Yes,
June 12th?
He came out on June 12th.
Okay, and he came out. What did he do when he came out on June 12th? Just a minute. You sit down. Look at me. Look at me. You too.
When he arrived, he threw the cooler that belonged to her towards her little sister, and his girlfriend hollered at him and pushed him away. He then put a spare tire on my car because my spare had exploded. The company out in Kansas City put a new starter in my car, so I needed a tire. It wasn't the starter that I needed help with.
Okay, so?
And the $200 had nothing to do with the trip. He was fired from A1. He did not work there no more. The only reason why I borrowed him the money is because I felt bad for him because he got arrested for sleeping in his truck.
Okay. Now, what about these things that you say he has that belong to you, a VCR and a quilt?
When he first moved into his apartment, they were sleeping on the floor. They had blankets, and that was it because his girlfriend's going through a divorce and just left her daughter and her husband to be with him. I had went to stay with him for a little while because I wasn't getting along with my mother. And I had a VCR, and I had my TV there. I got my TV and my dressers and my clothes back. And the only reason I got that back is because I was escorted by officers because he...
Well, what caused the trouble between you and your father?
His girlfriend.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Explain that to me. It sounds to me as
that
if...
being more important
it
than
sounds
his
to me.
daughter.
It sounds to me as if for at least, he says 10 years, he would take you to this water park.
No.
Say 5 years.
Worlds
But you
apart.
had a reasonable relationship with him. Certainly you got into trouble. You called him to come and help you.
It was occasionally reasonable. It
Good.
depended.
Okay. And then if you had difficulty with your mother,
Yeah.
you said you went to your father. So it wasn't as if you were estranged, you know, that you weren't
While I
speaking.
was staying with him, my belongings were there, but I was staying at Sylvia's house most of the time because we were fighting.
All right. But sometimes you were there, and it doesn't sound
Yeah.
like a terrible arrangement. So what kind of problems do you have with his girlfriend?
That she was on probation, and he's...
Probation for what?
I believe DWI.
Okay.
And the problems all occurred, and the reason why I started staying with Sylvia was because they were arguing because he was having pot in the house while she's on probation, and that she was drinking while being on probation.
Did your father drink?
From what I understand, yeah, he has been. While I was staying with him, I had seen him drink several times.
Your Honor, I quit drinking April 13th, 1988 when I hit a telephone pole at 80 miles an hour because of alcohol.
So
And I
what do you
haven't
got-
drank since.
So,
My
Mr.
Uncle John
Palmer,
passed-
what do you involve? Shh, listen to me. Just listen to me. If that's true, that means that there was a point in your life where you had a drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
And it sounds to me like you had a serious drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Then what do you get yourself involved with somebody who has a drinking problem for?
Because my girlfriend has been in AA for 2.5 years, clean and sober. I have been clean and sober for almost 11 months.
That's
And
incorrect.
Just shh, shh.
I
I thought
would
it was
like to-
1988.
I would like...
I thought it was
I would like to
1988.
explain, Your Honor, I would like to explain why this has all come about. The problems between me and my daughter are right there with Sylvia Chorney. My daughter lied to you when you asked her, what is your relationship? They're not friends. They are girlfriends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had a substance abuse problem.
I had no substance abuse.
Of course you did. You were in
Prove
AA.
it. Test me right now.
You
and prove
told
to
me you
that
were in
I had-
AA.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Palmer says she loaned her father, Mark Palmer, $200. Mark says Amanda is a bitter girl and she's seeking revenge.
Now,
that is my friend.
There was a point when this all came out. Before I found out that my daughter and Sylvia Chorney were seeing each other, Sylvia Chorney went to the Omaha Police Department and filed charges against me for rape, for fear of how I was going to react to this.
My mother that's when he was still with my mother, and my mother was around, and I went to my mother when I found out that he had raped her. And I had took my mother to Village Inn. I sat down, I had talked to her. My mother knew before he knew that I was gay. That has nothing to do with
And, Your Honor, they said that
the verbal and the
was...
physical and the emotional abuse started when I was very young.
Okay. More information that I needed for this, shh, please. More information that I needed. I see you're upset, okay? And it's more than $200. It's, you know, the issue involves more than $200, I gather.
Well, I have papers and everything stating for the money that came out and all of that, because it was from her.
I want to tell you something. I believe that you gave him $200. Okay? I believe that you gave him $200. What I'm telling you is I don't think that this case is about $200, because I don't think that you would be here for $200.
It wasn't for me. It was for the respect out of my friend, or whatever he wants to consider her, out of my best friend, because she borrowed it, and I don't want it to come in between us because of that.
Okay. So you're really talking about Sylvia saying to you, you got to get the money back from him.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a minute. Good, bad, I don't know. I don't have enough time to figure it out today, nor is it really any of my business. Whether he's a good father, a bad father, whether he has been verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, whether he's been supportive or non-supportive, I don't know. Bottom line is, that's your father.
Bottom line is, Your Honor, I support him no matter what.
Quiet down, because I have a feeling, sir, growing up with you was not a picnic. If you had an alcohol problem for a period, listen to me carefully, deny all you like, but if growing up with you at times involved living with your substance abuse problem, that's a problem.
Substance abuse problem? I had no substance abuse problem, Your Honor. I left my wife because my wife had left me on several occasions laying in a bed, burning.
Mr. Palmer, you are not paying attention to me, sir. What I'm saying to you is you had a substance abuse problem.
I had no substance abuse.
Of course you did. You were in AA.
Test me right now and prove to me
you were in AA.
I was drinking on April 13th, 1988. I went after work. I went and had a few beers with a buddy.
Alcohol, you told me. You've been involved in AA. You've been clean and sober for 11 months. That's what you told me. Alcohol is a substance. If you abuse a substance, that's a substance abuse. That's not necessarily drugs. Alcohol is a substance.
I went to AA, Your Honor, for marijuana use, not alcohol use.
Mr. Palmer, whatever it is, sir, if you're in a state of denial, I'm not going to reach you. You have a child who's 19 years old. If during the course of her minority, you as a parent that sometimes were under the influence of either marijuana, which is a drug, or alcohol, which is also a substance, and that caused you not to be able to properly parent a child, and I'm telling you that it absolutely all the time does not enable you to properly parent a child when your brain is cloudy, then she grew up with certain amount of baggage that she didn't buy into when she was born. You have to understand that. That's a true thing.
I understand.
You may not like it, but it's a true thing. So she's got baggage. She is your child.
I am not the one being investigated for doctor shopping, for pills, because of her mother.
You're not getting it.
No, he can't.
If I'm not getting it, then award her the case, because I am so used.
Then I want you to tell him, if he doesn't understand, I want you to just stand by him, and every time he opens his mouth now, because now I'm tried to get through to him, it was like getting through to this table. You don't get it.
Just award to her.
You don't get it.
I do get it.
You don't get it. She's your child.
I got shafted for 23 years. What's another day in court?
Just a second. She wasn't around for 23 years, sir. She's only been around 19.
And it's been this way my whole life.
Shh. She's only been around for 19.
Your Honor, I have traveled her all over the
I'm not
United States.
listening to you. You are not getting it. You are not getting it. She's the child. You're the parent.
And I was a damn good parent.
No.
Oh, I'm sure you were a wonderful parent. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $280. You don't get it. But he's your father. He's always going to be your father. If Sylvia was a good friend to you, she would not have put you in a situation that you're in today by saying to you, you should get the money back from him. Because this is too painful. This is too painful. You should not be involved with it. You have to understand, your best friend is supposed to make things easy for you, not more difficult. Good.
That has been
Okay,
her
judgment for the
biggest
plaintiff as pursuant to the requested judgment, which is $280, because I believe what you tell me. That's all.
Parties are
Thank
excused.
you.
You may step out. So step out the back.
It's been nothing but verbal threats, him harassing her at her job.
She lied to the judge.
I don't care if I was 16 and had $5 and he asked for it, I'd give it to him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Edmond versus Athanasatos. Step forward, please.
Postal worker Tracy Edmond is suing tattoo artist Alex Athanasatos for the cost of a tattoo removal. Tracy says Alex botched a tattoo of her late mother.
Bird, don't get too comfortable.
This is going to be a quick one.
Yes. Miss Edmond, according to your complaint, the defendant is a tattoo artist.
Yes.
And you went to the defendant because you recently lost your mother?
Yes.
And you wanted a picture of your mother memorialized on your body?
Yes.
Ah. A picture on your dresser wouldn't have done?
It would have.
You're unhappy with the picture that he did, and you want him to pay thousands of dollars to have the picture removed. Is that right?
Yes.
First of all, do you want to show me the tattoo? Where is it, on your arm?
Yes.
Could you step up here? Okay. And I see you've had tattoos before.
Yes.
So that's not... How many tattoos do you have altogether?
7.
7. Had you ever done work for her before?
No.
Did he come recommended to you?
Yes.
But I'm going to get to your complaint. You said everything was going fine until you saw him light up a joint and start to smoke a joint.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Did you get up and leave?
No, because it was almost half done.
Almost half done is not done. Now, according to what I read in your complaint, you said everything was going fine, right?
Yes.
And he was doing a good job, right?
Yes.
Until he started to smoke a joint.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that point, you get up and leave, and you said, listen, when you're finished, I'll come back tomorrow. Why didn't you do that?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, how should I know? If somebody is doing brain surgery, and they seem to be doing okay,
How do you...
and right in the middle of the brain surgery, they say, do me a favor, would you give me a double vodka?
I'll take one.
Quiet. Sorry. That's the time you say, listen, we'll finish this surgery another time. Or get somebody else to close me up. Or something. You don't sit there and hope for the best and then say, well, he was smoking a joint and clearly he wasn't doing the right thing, so I sat there like a jerk and let him finish, because then he wasn't doing a good job anymore, and then complain that it doesn't look like your mother. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, listening to you.
Perfect. Anything else you want to tell me?
I have nothing to say.
Good! See what I mean? Case dismissed.
Parties
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mrs. Jones, the defendant was your son's girlfriend for a
Right.
long time.
Yes.
How long did you live together?
5.5 years.
No, not that long.
That's what she says.
I'm sorry.
And your son was in a tragic accident and was killed.
Yes, he
And
was.
what you want from the defendant is property that you say belonged to your son. It was your
Yes,
son's
ma'am.
property.
Yes.
The defendant says that they lived together for a long time. They accumulated property together. She has given you some of his personal property, but the rest she feels is hers. And she is also counterclaiming because she says you've been harassing her, and there is some property that you have that actually belongs to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume you would not have brought your counterclaim if the plaintiff had not brought her claim.
Right.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm going to go to you for a minute. When did you and Mrs. Jones's son move in together?
Back in '97.
Okay. Tell me about the accident. Were either of you present when the accident happened?
Right after I was.
What was the date of the accident?
November 16, 2001.
And it was an automobile accident, is that right?
No, ATV, four-wheel terrain vehicle.
Okay. What items of personal property do you want?
He has a ring from Sealy Company, a gold ring that they had given him. Literally what I have right now is I had his work clothes, which were junk.
His work clothes, yes.
They're junk. I mean, they're holes.
Right.
I can do nothing with them.
Go ahead.
Things that I want back are the things that I was part of his life for, that he had bought.
Well, talk to me. I so far hear a gold ring. This
There
is a
are
court.
stereo equipment,
His stereo equipment?
Speakers,
Just a minute,
amplifiers.
Just a minute. Stereo? So far, that has no sentimental value at all. What's next?
PlayStation, all his games. These were his things that he would have given to his nephews.
How old was your son when he passed away?
He was 26.
When did he buy the stereo?
Just within the last couple of years.
When he was living with the defendant?
Yeah, but everything he bought, I'm willing, if she has receipts, they'll probably fall on the credit cards that I've been paying for the last 3 years.
Why have you been doing that?
Because he was paying for her truck a lot. She kept getting it repossessed, didn't have the money to make her truck payments, so he would make her truck payments, then he wouldn't be able to pay his bills.
So he'd come to you and you'd make gifts to him?
No, not gifts. He had him pay him back.
Did he pay you back?
Not all of it. He died before.
Well, no court is going to go through all those bills and figure out what he paid and what he didn't pay. I mean, these people lived together for, let's say, minimally 5 years. They had a home together. I mean, I can understand as his mother you might want certain sentimental things, but let's proceed with the list that you say. We have a stereo, we have a PlayStation. Go ahead, what else?
VCR, his DVD, his nice clothing that he had that wasn't all tore up. There was a lot of Dale Earnhardt collectibles that I had bought in him.
Yes, race cars. Go ahead.
He collected all things that I had bought in him through the years for Dale Earnhardt.
That you gave him as gifts.
To my son.
That you gave him as gifts.
Yes.
Once you give him things as gifts, they're gifts. What else?
He had car amplifiers, which were at one time in my truck. He had a cash box full of credit cards, which I had to call credit card companies because she kept those.
So you called the credit card companies and canceled them?
Yes.
Go ahead, Miss Jones.
I mean, he had all of his clothing, everything that was important to me, what David was into, and everything that was important to him.
Everything that was important to your son, he shared with the person he lived with, Miss Jones.
Well,
the only thing that you said to me that in any way moves me is a gold ring. A gold ring that may have had some sentimental value for you. A stereo doesn't have sentimental value. Neither does a VCR, a DVD, a car amplifier. Put my glasses on to see what else. A PlayStation, even small race cars don't have sentimental value for you. I can understand you wanting to have something that belonged to your son that you can keep, that you can hold, that you can put in a box.
Well,
the only thing that would be is a ring. The rest of the stuff only has monetary value.
When this first happened, when David first passed away, Melissa asked me if she could use David's things because I had went down and got from circuit court, so I was taking care of his estate.
Let me see what you have from surrogate's court.
And she asked me, could she use his things?
Let me just a minute.
Of course I said yes.
I want to see what it says here.
Okay.
Okay, all this says is you can act as his voluntary administratrix. Was there any insurance or any other settlement as a result of this accident?
Life insurance?
Any insurance, any lawsuit, any money?
Life insurance.
Okay, and who was the beneficiary?
I was.
Okay, and how much was the life insurance policy?
$40,000.
Okay, so you got $40,000. So that the sum total of his estate was the $40,000.
Well, there was another insurance that he had through J.C. Penney, accidental death and dismemberment.
Yes.
And that was $125,000.
And who got that?
I did.
Okay.
He left everything to me.
Fine. And you got all that already.
Right.
So why are we here? I don't understand why we're here.
Because these were his things. She made an agreement with me. She said, in her exact words, when I move out of this house, I will return everything of Davis to you. And I believed her. I took her for her word, which, when she did move out of the house, she did leave the things. The next morning, they were gone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She said, I want these things, and if I don't get these things today, I will kill your daughter, and she will come home in a body bag.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Jones is suing her deceased son's girlfriend, Melissa Filarecki, for the return of his belongings. Melissa says Margaret already has everything.
All right, I'll hear you. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I do have the ring for her.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, you may.
You say it was a gold ring?
It's supposed to be.
What does it say on it?
From the Ceiling Mattress Company.
What was it for?
He was Employee of the Month many, many times. Many
What
times.
else do you have in the bag?
I have the list of stuff I left in the apartment for Margaret.
Can I see it, please? What else is in the bag?
Oh, just pictures, and I have a pin that he got from Celia. Yeah, you want the whole thing?
Mm-hmm. Did the defendant give you the following? Necklace, charms, class ring, and keychain with baby pictures on it.
Yes, those I got. Those were things I gave my son, yes.
She gave them back to you?
Yes, she did.
A teddy bear with a graduation year on it.
That I don't remember.
Title to a motorcycle, a 1998 four-wheeler Rabbit.
Title's in his name, yes.
She gave it to you?
They were in his name.
Dale Earnhardt collectibles?
No, there's only a few pieces.
But she gave you some?
She gave me some of them.
A home gym?
Yes.
Coffee table he made in high school?
No, I haven't seen that.
Your Honor,
Yes.
it was not left on the back porch. The door was broken off.
Camcorder?
Yes.
All the Christmas decorations?
No.
Model cars?
The only model cars that I know of, and I don't have them, is the cars that I bought for him, but I don't have them now.
Raiders collections?
That's 3/4 away going too. There's only a few pieces left of that.
Car parts, stereo, and speakers?
No.
What'd you do with those?
I left everything on the back porch.
No.
Listen, in the 5 years that you were together, did you exchange gifts?
Yes, we did.
Were you both employed?
Yes, we were.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was a certified nurse's aide, and I also went to school full-time.
When you leased these apartments together, did you purchase things for the apartment together?
Yes, we did.
And you kept a stereo and a VCR and a DVD?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a cash box that you know about?
That's where I got the ring, and I do have the credit cards with me.
Okay, you can give those to her. She's already canceled them. Miss Jones, I'm going to tell you the following, and then I'm going to very quickly address your counterclaim. When somebody dies, an easier emotion to deal with is usually anger.
Yes, ma'am.
You said yes. Do you really understand what I mean? The sadness, is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
You see, it's much easier to be angry at somebody than to be hurt and feel sad, because you can vent it out. You can get it out. Whereas dealing with the sorrow of somebody's death is much more painful. Whether they had a good relationship or a bad relationship, your son was together with this woman for 4.5 years, and he was a young man. So for the better part of really his adult life, they were together. They were a couple. Whether you thought they were good for each other or bad for each other, it's irrelevant. She was part of his life for a very long time. She tried to do the right thing with you. I mean, if you're talking to me about this ring, you're talking about not a gold ring. I don't even think it's a silver ring. It's a ring that says Sealy on it. She's giving it to you. There's a pin there that also was an Employee of the Month pin. She's giving that to you. It's easier to be angry at her than to either accept certain responsibilities that you might feel for his death, maybe his sister, because this accident was with an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle.
Yes.
Were you there?
I was on it.
She was involved in it.
I mean, I could tell from looking at her that there's more than just grief there, so many months away from the incident, that there may be a little bit of guilt attached.
Right.
Maybe. But that's not her fault. That's not her fault. Nothing's going to bring your son back. Certainly a stereo, a VCR, and a DVD are not going to bring your son back.
Nothing can bring my son back. You're right.
Right. Nothing. Not the $125,000 you got from one insurance policy or the $40,000 that you got from the other insurance policy. Not a VCR, a DVD, and his clothing. They're not going to bring him back.
Well,
these are little mementos that she says you can have.
told me before she didn't have them.
Oh, well, here they are.
Can I speak,
And
Your
I
Honor?
want you to have them. That's all. You can give these back to the plaintiff. Do you want to proceed with this counterclaim that you have for harassment, or you just
Yes.
want to say, listen, let's try to be friends?
No, I do.
I'm listening.
I have the police report. She called and threatened my mom that my mom was going to know.
Is your mother here?
Yes, she is.
Tell me your name.
Linda Villarecki. I'm her mother.
You want to tell me about this phone call that you got from the plaintiff?
Yes, it was a day or two after Melissa moved back home. I had gotten a phone call from Margaret wanting to speak to Melissa, and I wasn't sure who it was. And I asked who she was. She said Margaret. And I said, Margaret, she's not here. She's working right now. And she said she promised to give me David's PlayStation and surround sound. And she had mentioned things. And I said, Margaret, I would never want to be in your position that you're into. I said, I would never want that. She said, I want these things, and if I don't get these things today, I will kill your daughter, and she will come home in a body bag, and she will know how it feels to lose a child. And I said, Margaret, I would never want to be in your position. And she just went, she was out of control, and I just hung up on her.
Anger is a much easier thing to deal with than sorrow, because she's able to lash out at you rather than dealing internally with the sorrow of the event and the sorrow of the loss.
But I was worried that she was so upset that she had, it was possible.
And you made a police report?
Yes.
Can I see the police report, please?
And Your Honor, I also missed 2 weekends of work because I also waitress on the weekends.
In Troy.
In Troy. And my boss wrote me a letter.
I don't read letters from bosses. This report is dated in June. Is that right?
Yes.
The police did ask her not to, just try to stay away from Troy as much as she could for a while until Margaret did calm down.
Did the police come to your house, Mrs. Jones, and speak to you?
No, they did not, Your Honor.
They should have.
I have my police report here where they for larceny, and I never bothered her at her job.
I didn't ask you about your job. I'm talking to you about this phone call. I believe her mother that you had this conversation with her.
I had a conversation with Melissa when she called me
No,
3 or
with her
4
mother.
times.
I'm talking with her mother.
3 or 4 times she's called me.
Did you understand
Yes,
what I
ma'am,
said?
did.
I'm talking about the conversation with her mother. I absolutely believe her mother when her mother says to me that you said, unless I get these things back, you're going to see your daughter in a body bag, then you'll know how it feels. What kind of thing is that to say? It's only because you're angry.
They were never together that length of time either, because she had left and went with another guy for a while. The first night of his wake, she had another man sleeping over. And I'd say just about every week after that, there was a different guy in there.
Let me explain something to you. I don't believe that.
That's the honest to God truth.
I don't believe that. Just as I don't believe that you took $165,000 that you got when your son died, right, and went and blew it in Las Vegas.
What?
I wouldn't believe that because you don't look like that kind of person. You look like a reasonable kind of person. And I'm looking at her, and I don't believe that she brought another guy to his, she may have brought another person who was a male to his wake. Listen,
no, excuse me.
let's not. You have an anger, and I'm trying very hard to be nice to you.
I know you are.
I am really trying very hard to be nice to you. Your daughter was involved, at least in this incident.
Yes, she was.
You and your brother, how far apart in age are you?
Almost twin.
So it was very difficult for you.
She has
It is very.
It was very difficult for you. And you actually saw the accident.
He was helping me.
He was helping you when it happened. So you have a certain guilt, right? You have a certain guilt. I understand that. Don't be mad at her. There's no reason to be mad at her. For over a TV, over a VCR, over a stereo. Listen, your son moved out of the house when he was how old?
19.
That's very young to move out of the house. There has to be a reason for that.
He lived right downstairs from me.
I don't care whether he
his
lived right
girlfriend.
downstairs.
With
There's
his-
a reason a child moves out of the house when they're 18 years old unless they go away to school.
No, he moved down
These
with his
days,
girlfriend.
now you can't get rid of them until they're 35.
Well, actually, Judge, he swore he'd never leave again, and he's always stayed by me. And she can even tell you I came first in his life. Always.
Well, I want to tell you something. That's not healthy. That's not healthy for a 26-year-old man to have to say, my mother comes first in my life and she always will.
Because I always helped him when he needed help. I always tried to guide him to do the right thing.
That's what you're supposed to do. So you're not supposed to tarnish his death with this kind of stupidity lawsuit. It's stupid.
That's right.
A
I didn't do
VCR, a television set should not bring you to court. You should say whether they were together a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. There were certain periods of time when they brought each other pleasure, when they cared for each other. She knows how much he cared for you. She knows how much he cared for you. You're supposed to just be a nice lady. So, you got the sentimental things back that I think that she was nice to give back to you, that you have, they're yours. I want you to forget about a VCR. I want you to forget about a PlayStation. And I want you to forget about your counterclaim. She's not thinking rationally. Do you understand? You understand? It's going to take some time, because the truth of the matter is, whether you have found another person or not, I certainly hope you have, because you're supposed to move on. You're a young woman. She will never get over the death of her child. You don't get over the death of a child. You sometimes get over the death of a partner, a mate, a boyfriend, you know, because you move on with your life and you find someone else to fill that void. She's never going to fill that void, but you have to fill that void with something other than anger, because it's not healthy.
I know.
It's not healthy. It's not healthy. Make up. Be nice with each other. Your cases are dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You know, parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats, please.
Mrs. D'Amico, the defendant is your former husband, and this must be one of your children.
This is my son, Brandon.
According to your complaint, your son Brandon was living with his father for a period of time, then came back to live with you.
Exactly.
It is your claim, one, that his father refuses to return some of his personal property, and two, that Brandon received some sort of a Social Security check, and that his father kept some of that money after he had returned to your home. Is that right?
That's true, Your Honor.
Mr. Aquino says that the things that were purchased for his son are in his home. He can come and use them whenever he wants to use them, and that he had some sort of an arrangement with his son to pay for some of that stuff, and he didn't pay for them, so Mr. Aquino kept some of his money.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. When were you divorced?
In 92, August.
How many children do you have?
3 children.
Give me their names and ages, please.
I have Nicolina, who's going to be 20, Eric, who's going to be 19 in December, and Brendan, who's 16.
Okay. When you were divorced in 1992, the children were living with whom?
With me.
For how long?
Since that time, Your Honor, I had physical custody of the children.
At this time, am I correct, according to you, that 2 of the children are living with you?
Yes, Your Honor. And the date of divorce was 93 of July. The date was incorrect.
Okay, well, I have the papers here, and it's part of the file. Regardless.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Are 2 of the children currently living with you?
Eric and Brendan. Brendan left the home.
No, listen to me.
Yes.
You're not following my question. You're not receiving. You're thinking about an answer. Are 2 of the children currently living in your home?
1 of the children are currently living in the home.
Who?
Eric.
Where is your daughter?
Nicolina had left, and I don't know where she went.
Your Honor.
Is Nicolina living with you?
Well, on and off, Your Honor. She's 20 years old. She's liberated. She goes back and forth.
But she was for a period of time living with her father?
Yes, until he threw her out.
Okay. Stop playing with your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor.
Just a second. I ask questions,
sorry.
you answer them, then I make a decision. That's the way we go here. It's comfortable for me. I'm used to routine. All right. Now, when did Brendan go and live with his father?
The end of June 2001.
And when did he return to your house?
June 2002.
Why did he leave your house?
He had an argument with me. At the time, I was imposing a curfew.
He had an argument with you?
Right.
Went to his father. What kind of Social Security check does Brendan get?
Well, the father receives Social Security disability, and Brendan gets a stipend from the government based on Darren's record.
What's the nature of your disability? Is it a physiological disability
it's
or
physical,
a psych?
Yeah, it's
or
a multiple physical, Your Honor.
Multiple physical?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been on disability?
Since 1987.
Okay. What things do you claim that are in your former husband's house that belongs to your son?
Main items were TV, VCR,
Just a minute.
PlayStation.
TV, VCR, what else?
Several electronic games, all his clothing, all his shoes, which I have a list of, Your Honor, right here.
But there was a TV, was a VCR, and was a PlayStation that you took to your father's house?
Yes.
And are they still at your father's house?
Correct.
Why?
Why? Well, Your Honor, he left that house in a very bad way. He was thrown out at 4:30 in the morning by her. We had to go pick him up. He didn't speak with her for 6 months.
Mr. Aquino, listen to me carefully, sir. Are there any items that you have in your home that you personally purchased for your son after June of 2001 when he was living with you?
Oh, sure.
What?
I have PlayStation 2, is it?
Just a second. PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's correct. What else?
Xbox.
Xbox. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Go ahead.
Clothes from Old Navy.
Okay.
That are still brand new in the packages.
Exactly.
Listen to me.
Yes.
5 days from today's date, all of his property, so far with the extension of PlayStation 2 and Xbox, are to be quiet, are to be packed in a box. That all, quiet, that all goes back to your son. Now, I will give you 30 seconds to convince me that that is not going to happen.
Okay, Your Honor, there is lots of complications at that household. Many of the children have had abusive treatment by the mother.
I don't care. Mr. Aquino,
Your Honor.
pay careful attention, sir. Your son is 16 years old.
That is correct.
Which means he is still a minor.
That is correct.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you're not receiving, you're speaking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you go to the appropriate family court They will conduct a hearing with regard to whether or not he gets to stay where he wants to stay at age 16, whether it's not in his best interest to be with his mother. In the meantime, all of his property that he came to you with goes back to him. Keep going. I don't want to hear about abuse. I don't want to hear about neglect.
Your Honor, right now as we speak, an attorney is filing a document in Nassau County Family Court to restore him back to a stable lifestyle, which I set up for him. He did not go back to her in June. He went in August to visit. She's misinforming you. She's also filed other documents that are falsified, which I would like this court to consider that she made fraudulent statements to the Family Court of Queens.
Mr. Aquino, I want you to pay attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
I sat in the family court, the state of New York, the city of New York for many, many years, Mr.
I know.
Aquino.
That's why I was confident
So
here
I'm
today.
telling you, and I'm going to tell it to you, for the moment at least, without your son here. Wait outside. Wait outside. Fast! Fast! I have things to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes, he lived with me.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in September.
But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah D'Amico says ex-husband Darren Aquino won't return their son's belongings. Deborah also claims Darren has been withholding money from their son.
Now, one of the problems when you deal with 16-year-olds is they're very mobile. They get to go where they want to go.
Yes.
Usually when a child is over the age of 12, a family court judge in hearing a petition for custody is going to make a determination that, yes, it may be true that you present the more stable home for this child. However, if he says to the judge, there's no way that I want to go and stay with my father. I want to stay with my mother for whatever reason. And the judge is going to say, listen, what am I going to do? He's 16 years old. He can get on a bus. He can get on a train. He can take off. Where am I going to put him? So before you spend a whole bunch of money, you might be as well served if you got into some family counseling with him to try to resolve some of whatever problems exist. Because sometimes it's an exercise in futility to try to tell a 16-year-old where to live.
I understand
Not going to
that,
happen.
Your Honor.
In the meantime, it doesn't serve you well to keep this stuff as sort of ransom because it makes your son angry with you.
Yes, Your
It's
Honor.
not a good idea. Forget about his mother. I don't know if she's good or bad or a good mother or a bad mother, a psycho or not. I don't know. All I'm telling you is you have a child
Absolutely.
who right now is mad at you because you have his TV. You have his Nintendo. You have his PlayStation. All stupid things. Stupid things, but he's angry with you for that. And if you want to open a dialogue, you're smarter not to be stubborn and say, here, you want it? These are just things. All right, now I'm going to let you speak.
Your Honor, the reason I kept those things is because it was not settled that he's there. In my fight to get him back, because of the complications with the new fella in her life, now her husband, Brendan showed to myself and to my future wife these dissatisfactions and expressed to her more than me because he bonded with her as a second mother figure, which is good. It's good, okay? My concern is that these things that she shows him with the counseling, Your Honor, I've suggested that. She would interfere.
Your Honor.
She told Judge
liar.
of the family
He
court
is a liar.
who you probably know. He got up. I've never seen a judge get up in rage with veins popping, yelling at her to shut up, that he makes the rules.
That is not
She
true.
interferes.
This man has
This is
taken
my
me to
interest.
court in 20 years.
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor, I must say this because I've
She's
been
cutting me
carrying it
off
for
as
20
usual.
years. This man has made false allegations, has used the judicial system to work for his benefit. He makes
You're right.
people lie for him. I am an upright citizen, a good mother. I've been taking care of my children
You
since
filed a
I'm
document
divorced.
forgery
And
in
I
the
have been
Supreme Court.
supporting them since. The man doesn't even pay child support.
Not
He is
supposed
a
to. We have an
loser,
obligation
Your Honor.
not to do that.
And the man is
She
making up
caused a
lies here, and
fraud.
he's telling you this that like it's so, and it's not true.
Mr. Miko, what I'm telling you is, if you listen, I said, I don't care any of the stuff he's giving me. I'm telling him he's got to return the stuff.
I am so glad you did that.
Period.
I am so
End of discussion.
honored.
Because, Mr. Aquino, it's not the right thing to do
Yes, Your Honor.
to further alienate your 16-year-old by keeping property that he deems his. Now, let's move on. That's finished. let's move on to the second part of it, which is $391 a month. I am assuming, because I'm not going into this,
that was a recent increase, Your Honor.
Whatever it is. You acknowledge that you kept some of his money because you say the last insurance benefit I received, it's not insurance,
No.
Mr. Aquino. It's my money. It's Bird's money that we pay to support you because you're disabled.
No, it's my money that I paid into the fund.
How old were you in 1987?
28, I think.
28? And you've been collecting now for 15 years. So you've been collecting more than you worked, and you're going to collect for another 20 or 30 years. Believe me, it's not your money you put into the fund, it's Bird's money.
Thank you.
You say thank you.
So
You misused their money.
Mr. Aquino,
Yes,
pay
Your
attention
Honor.
to me. Believe me, I've been around the block longer than you have, Mr. Aquino.
Yes, Your Honor.
Trust me. So it's not insurance money.
No, ma'am.
It's
not.
Bird's money that went to your son that you kept, and you kept at a time when he wasn't living with you because you acknowledged
Not so.
that.
Not so, Your
No,
Honor.
no, that's what you said.
No. He
what you
took
said.
it in advance, Your Honor, to buy those sets. He says, Dad, can I have this money to buy the box and
Just a sec.
August check?
Shh. I want you to be quiet. I got you now. Let me see. So what you're saying is he took... Quiet, Mr. Aquino.
I can't tell you if I'm quiet.
Mr. Aquino, what you're saying to me, sir, is that your son took an advance on his Social Security disability payment.
My Social Security disability
His.
payment. His beneficiary payment.
Bird's money. So that he could buy a PlayStation 2 and other electronic games.
And the cassette.
Wrong. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Listen to me, sir. If you, as his parent, choose to purchase electronic games for him, you don't make the choice unless it's out of your money. Now, if he's living with you, and because you say, well, you're going to get a check net, Mr. Aquino, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. Because there may be something physiologically wrong with you, but there's nothing psychologically wrong with you,
That is
except you're a little
correct.
bit of a hustler. And when you say to me, quiet, and when you say to me he took an advance so that after he moved out I kept that money, I'm telling you that that's a hustle. Now, he moved out according to you in August.
That's
According
correct.
to his mother in June, according to you in August. Did you keep August's benefit?
August benefit went to her.
Your Honor, I got copies of the 2 checks
Can I
that
see
I
it,
got.
please?
I got statements to Social Security, too, of the misuse
These
of
are
the
the
funds
2
that
checks
she's had.
that I did receive since Brendan has been back with me.
Brendan has never received any use of his money while in Deborah's care.
Just a second. He's not supposed to get the money, Mr.
It's for the
Aquino.
parent to use.
It's not for the parent to
his
use.
Quiet.
support.
Quiet. He is not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino.
At an age.
He's not supposed to get the...
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
He's not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino, until he reaches his majority. At 16, he is still a minor, which is why you can go to the family court to try to get custody of him, because he's still a minor. He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes. He lived with me. What do you mean? He lived with us.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in September. He didn't live with you in August.
Of what year?
2002.
No, he did not. But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt
don't.
it.
I doubt it.
When they see the fraud that she committed in the courts,
I know
I doubt it.
I don't doubt it. You filed
I'm
a false
talking.
document in Supreme Court.
You received August's check for 2002?
It
That's what
indicates
says.
on the check I received
August 2000.
August.
To me, you have August and you have October, and I don't. You had better find out from them what happened for September because they skipped
Your Honor,
September.
They're a month behind. You get the previous month when
I
they
don't
send
want
it
you
to
to
you.
interrupt me again. You
No,
may interrupt
Your
her. You don't
Honor,
interrupt me.
You're
Trying to explain
No,
the checks
don't
and how they
explain
come.
anything. Don't
I'll
explain
tell you
anything.
what
They're my
happened.
benefit.
I'm not
I'll explain how
interested.
they come.
Pay attention.
Let me make that
You have
clear.
August, and according to you have October. You go to them and find out where September
They
is.
told me they reissued it back to Darren because
Wasn't
he went
reissued
to
to
the
me.
Jericho.
Show me proof. Show me proof.
Well,
that
I
they
don't have
reissued it to
proof.
him.
I only have proof that I applied 2 times to be payee within the course of the past several
Fine.
months. I can show you that, Your Honor.
Just a second. Mr. Aquino, you've been sworn today, and you testifying, sir, under oath, that you did not receive September's check for your
September's
son.
check. I didn't receive September's check. Did it come into the... She does the... It goes into a direct deposit.
Just a second. Did you receive September's check?
No, Your Honor.
Did you receive a check in October?
No, Your Honor.
You have not received the check since August.
Correct.
That
I have
check-
maybe a possibility why that is, Judge.
I don't care why it is. You said that you did not receive it.
That is correct.
Your fiancé said it did not come in. That's under oath. Very easy to get a
I
tape.
have letters here indicating that he was changed, the payee was changed to
Listen
his
to
name
me
again.
very-
So he would have had to have gotten the check somehow, either by direct deposit
Your
or
Honor,
the mail, Your Honor. I have
They're
two notices
suspending
here
the
from
check
Social Security.
because of the problems
No,
with
they're
Debbie.
not. No,
And
Listen
my
to me, Mr.
contact with the
Aquino.
office. Yes.
All I'm saying to you is, and I want you to be quiet and stop moving from side to side, sir.
I have a limp, so I
No,
can't
no.
stay.
You're nervous because you're hustling me a little
No,
bit.
I'm not hustling
Okay?
you, Your
You're
Honor.
nervous because you're
I
hustling
wouldn't
me a
hustle
little
you.
bit.
You're too sharp.
Your Honor,
Yo,
I
yo,
wish
yo,
you would
yo, you're
please
too
look
sharp
at
for
these.
me.
Right.
Your Honor.
Miss,
These
I'm
two
going to throw you both out.
I'm sorry, Your
I'm
Honor.
throwing you both
Throw her
out.
out.
Now, 5 days from today, you are to get all of the property packed up. You make arrangements to have it picked up by a third party, a mover or whatever. With regard to the money, take it up with Social Security. Now, let's get to your counterclaim, which is nonsense. Mr.
Nonsense?
Aquino, it
Why
is
you
your
say
claim.
it's
It is
nonsense,
your
Judge?
claim. Shh, quiet. You say that you paid legal
Not
fees
true.
for your son Eric when he was in trouble last year. Is
No.
that right?
Eric was 18. It's for a charge when he was 16.
Yeah.
While he was living in her care.
Yeah.
That these things were concealed from me, and then at the end, she dumps them on my lap and says, now you take care of it. Take care of what? I said.
Okay.
I supported him. We have an obligation under the court, Your Honor,
What is it that you paid for him?
$3,000. We
Yeah.
assigned it over to Anthony, you probably know the name, as Eric's counsel.
Who hired the lawyer?
She asked me to go and call my friend Anthony.
No, just a second. She asked you to go and call your friend,
Right.
who is a lawyer,
We were going to have legal aid for him. Yes,
and you did that.
yes. And she also
John,
met me at the court.
shh. Don't volunteer. Just answer my questions. Where did you get $3,000 from?
I'll let Stephanie answer that.
No,
Stephanie
I
took
don't
it
want
from her
Stephanie to answer it. I want you to answer it.
phone. Okay. Stephanie took it out of her IRA.
Should have let legal aid represent him, sir.
That's what I said.
That ain't what she said.
That's what I
Absolutely.
She pleaded with
okay.
me and cried.
This case is resolved as follows. 5 days from today's date, all the property is to be returned to your son. It's very unfortunate that you can't put a period to the end of all of this heartache and
I'd
say,
like to.
shh, and say, for the sake of all the children and maybe grandchildren to come, we're going to get along here. Maybe we should all get together and try to be cooperative and try to work together as a family. That's not going to happen.
That would be wonderful. but
Good.
that's
Give
a
him back his
fantasy with her.
stuff, and that's it. Goodbye.
Parties
you,
are
Your
excused.
Honor.
Yeah, on the case number 336 on the calendar in the matter of Sirakowski versus Doe. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Sirakowski, you were running some sort of a baby contest or baby pageant.
Yes.
And the defendant entered her baby. She wrote out a check. Her baby entered the contest. Her baby didn't win. She stopped payment on the check. You want your money, right?
Yes, I do.
The defendant says that the contest was rigged. So she stopped payment on the check. Tell me about this pageant.
All right, Your Honor, this whole case is about this lady who has a major...
Shh. Pay attention to my question. Then we'll get along just fine. I said, tell me about the pageant. I'll figure out what this lady has or has not.
All right. It is a national pageant system. We did have a baby contest in it. Her baby did participate.
Where is this pageant or contest held?
It was held in Springfield, Illinois.
How many babies were entered?
There were 9 babies all told, 5 in her age division.
So tell me how it works. You advertised and you said there's going to be a baby contest. These are the age categories. And it says that you have to send in a fee for the contest?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and how much is that fee?
The deposit was $150. She pays the remainder of any fees when she reaches the pageant.
Now, what happens if they win this contest in Springfield?
If they win the contest, they win money.
How much?
She could have won a $500 bond. Actually, she could have won a $2,000 bond as an overall winner.
Overall winner
of one baby of the 2 age divisions.
Okay, so she sent in her $150.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And then you travel to Springfield.
Correct.
And how much then does she have to pay once she gets to Springfield?
Depending on the events that she entered would decide how much more that she did owe.
What do you mean? I thought she just entered one baby contest.
There's several different categories.
Like what?
Photogenic, there is playwear, there is sleepwear, there are the prettiest, eyes, hair, fashion.
And what do you win if you win the prettiest pajamas?
You can win a plaque, a laser engraved plaque.
A plaque?
Yes.
And each time she enters one of these little contests for the baby who looks nicest in their pajamas, there's an additional fee. Is that what you're telling me?
There is a fee for each thing that you do, yes, ma'am.
Sounds like a good business to me. And how many babies, for instance, entered in that contest, if you have there, the best-looking baby in pajamas?
They all entered.
All 9 of them?
Yes.
And how much was the cost of each one of them entering that?
Well, it was $35 per category for that.
And how many of these little categories, eyes, pajamas, playwear, how many of those are there?
There are 5 for the babies.
And for that, they get a plaque or a certificate if they win each one.
They could get a trophy.
Or a trophy.
The people who win money, crowns, and banners, and the big trophies are the queens.
I'm just talking about the things other than cash. So this is for you a business?
Absolutely, it's a business.
We're not talking about the baby who wins this contest gets to do some sort of a pilot for a movie. This is just pure ego on the part of parents. Is that right?
I would say so, yes.
Absolutely. It's just pure ego. Okay, Miss Joe, now I'll hear you.
Okay, we did do the pageant. My daughter was offered the prizes of the state queens, the savings bond that originated from her state pageant that I attended in Michigan. That's the only reason we attended her nationals, to receive the savings bond. We went to nationals, we did the pageant, everything was fine, except for she didn't have the savings bond. She said she would overnight it to me. So I started on my way home when I started looking over Lily's scores, which were amazing. So I called the hotel.
Just 1 second. So you telling me she owes you a savings bond?
Correct.
Do you owe her a savings bond from a previous pageant?
No, ma'am, I don't owe her a savings bond. She did receive the savings bond. And, in fact, I didn't owe her the bond. The Michigan director did. She overnighted the bond to me. I told Miss Doe the day of the crowning it hadn't arrived yet, but it was coming, and I would send it to her.
Did you send the bond?
Yes, ma'am, I sent the bond.
Well, I assume then you have the number of the bond, that you can trace it. Now, how much was the bond for?
$100, Your Honor.
It's a $100 bond. We're not talking about a lot of money. But if you didn't send the bond to her, and you were supposed to, that you have to do. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Good. Perfect. I don't want to see anything.
This is the letter she received with the bond, and it tells about the bond. So if she didn't get the bond, why didn't she speak up? I got this letter, but I didn't get the bond with it?
That's what she says.
She's lying.
That's what she says.
That.
That's what she says. If she did not get the bond, she has to get the bond. All right, but let's go on with why you didn't pay the rest of these fees.
I proceeded on my way home. I didn't check the scores. I just figured, okay, my daughter placed 4th. She's done that before. She's had her wins. She's had her losses.
How many contests have you entered with her?
Beauty pageants, I've done maybe about a dozen of them.
Why?
They have prizes up to $10,000 savings bonds. It's always worth a shot. But anyways, I started checking the scores on the way home. My daughter has amazing scores, 9.8, 9.9. For instance, sleepwear, she got 2 9.8s and a 9.9. Possible 30 points, she got, what would that be, 29.5. I've consulted with 2 other directors who said it's not physically possible 4 babies scored higher than a 29.5 out of 30 possible. Judges don't give straight 10s and straight 9.9s. I called her on the way home twice. Once she was in the pageant still, once I left a voicemail. She didn't return them. I contacted the state director who said to try contacting the parents. Maybe the parents will tell me the daughter's scores.
That's not true.
Well,
don't speak.
I heard from 2 parents. One,
listen to me.
Okay.
Don't give me hearsay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, I tried emailing her twice when I didn't receive the bond. Didn't get any results. So I filed a complaint with PayPal, the one I paid her through. They tried contacting her. She ignored them also and refunded my money because they couldn't reach her. They gave her 10 days to respond to the notice.
Okay, just 1 second. Just 1 second. PayPal. What's PayPal?
It's an online computer where you can pay them through your debit, credit.
They didn't have anything to do with the bond. You told PayPal that you didn't receive merchandise.
That would be the savings bond.
You wasn't supposed to receive any
receiving
merchandise from me.
Shh. Don't speak to her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you have nothing better to do with your time than to take her around to show off her beauty, then what you're telling them from a very early age is that they are judged by the way they look, which is a very stupid thing to do.
And later today,
James had made threats to us and to our home.
I don't want to
When everything turned violent, we had to have him escorted off the property twice.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Child Beauty Pageant Director Gladys Sirakowski says Victoria Doe owes for the entrance fee for her daughter. Victoria says she stopped payment because the pageant was rigged.
Still, the reason that you stopped payment was not because of this bond that you say you didn't receive,
because she wouldn't return
that you
my calls
say you
about the
didn't
scoring.
receive. The problem was you thought your daughter should have won the contest. As a matter of fact,
Not
when you
one
talk,
place somewhere higher. Yes, I do. 2 other judges or directors agreed.
They weren't there.
There were 5 babies in the
listen
division.
to me. Don't speak to her. How many times do I have to explain to you not to speak to her? You say in your answer that you believe the pageant was rigged. That's why you didn't pay her. It had nothing to do with the bond.
That's not true.
Well,
I
that's
had
what you
2
say in your
reasons.
answer, madam. And that's the only reason that this PayPal would not pay. If you had said to them, I entered my daughter in a contest and I think the contest was rigged and I want to stop paying, they would say, that's not a reason to stop. Listen, Ms. Doe, you want to schlep your daughter from one state to another to be in beauty pageants. That's totally up to you. I cannot discourage you from doing that. Sometimes she's going to win, sometimes she's not going to win. Sometimes somebody's going to be a favorite, and sometimes the whole thing is going to be a sham. If you have nothing better to do with your time than to take her around to show off her beauty, that's a very sad. How old is she?
2.
I would say at 2, you should be sitting home reading books to her, not schlepping her around from one beauty pageant to another. If you don't understand by now that this lady is in business to make money.
I understand that, Your Honor, but it's also her job to consult with parents.
Listen to no, it
You
isn't.
can't take the money.
No, it isn't. You got to pay the money. You don't like this contest? Don't enter it again. You think without witnesses I'm going to find that this contest was rigged? It's not going to happen. I want to tell you something. Very, very good expression. Beauty fades, dumb is forever. What you're supposed to do if you have a daughter is to try to teach her that her mind is more important than her face. And I know that this isn't very good for the plaintiff's business, but if everybody out there would try to understand that what's in here is much more important long-term than what's here, and that usually children do not thrive from being schlepped from one place to another and primped and made up, dressed up, because then what you're telling them from a very early age is that they are judged by the way they look, which is a very stupid thing to do. Stupidity here does not get rewarded. She's entitled to her money, $321. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very happy to be getting the money back that's owed to me.
If they weren't going to award my daughter properly, then I deserve the refund.
But I'm not happy with the picture painted of pageants and my business.
Everybody has their own opinions.
She's got a big case of sour grapes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of AG versus Horry, step forward, please.
Rebecca Agee and her fiancé James Crane are suing their former friends Scott Horry and his wife Sarah for moving expenses and the value of personal property. The Horrys are countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
Mr. and Mrs. Agee, you and the defendants had been good friends. According to you, you were living in Oregon. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And both couples decided that they would be better off in their lives if they relocated to Iowa. Now, who came from Iowa?
We did, Your Honor.
So you agreed to sort of split the costs of moving and travel together. And once you got to Iowa, Mr. and Mrs. Horry were going to help you find a job. I don't know whether you were going to live together, but hopefully you would both live happily ever after in Iowa.
Okay.
Well, it didn't work out that way. And according to you, things turned sour on the trip. You claimed that the Horrys owe you for expenses, property that they kept, mental anguish, and you also want them to pay for your trip back from Iowa to Oregon because it didn't work out. They say that they thought everything went along just fine. They have a counterclaim because they say that you aggravated them.
Breathe.
Breathe. All right. Let me hear it succinctly.
We thought that they were really good friends of ours when we met them. We moved into 10 Mile, Oregon, and they were our neighbors, and we invited them over many times for everything.
Let's cut to the chase. You decided to move to Iowa with them.
We moved to Iowa with them. When we got to their home in Iowa, they were rude to us. They put us in a small room with 2 cat boxes. I also have he's almost 8 months old now, my son. When we got there, we had no money. They were supposed to pay us for half of the U-Haul.
Which was how much?
$117.50. And they said that we owed them money instead.
What did they owe you money for?
We paid for everything, including the trailer. We agreed upon that we would also give them a place to stay, give them a job, and we did all of that. Above and
That's not
beyond,
true, Your Honor.
when they had reached Colorado, when they ran out of money, I had gone...
They ran out of money in Colorado?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. His parents helped them out to get gas, and they came up to Wyoming
And met
finally
us where
and
we were
met us
supposed to
there.
meet.
Did you need to borrow some money from his parents? That's easy to find out, so just answer my question.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And how much money did you take from his parents?
Somewhere around $30.
You mean the two of you were traveling with a new baby with absolutely no money? Now, wouldn't it have been more prudent to stay in Oregon and save a little more money? Save $500, $1,000. Save it up so that you're not driving around with an 8-month-old baby with no money.
We had the money, ma'am. We ended up paying for the U-Haul. Mr. Hari paid for the deposit on the U-Haul.
Are you saying $117? Is that what
No.
you're talking?
That's
how
half
much?
of it. That's half of it. The full amount was $230-something, I believe.
Yes.
We would have had the full amount if they would have given us the money when we got there to make it all the way.
You're just not following me.
I'm sorry.
That's a big trip to make.
Yes, it
I mean,
is.
unless things are so terrible in Oregon that you weren't surviving there.
We were hoping for a brand new start, something new. They guaranteed him a job when
You
we got
can't
there.
guarantee anything. No, you don't rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah, we've learned that in the past
Well, you
couple
don't.
months.
All right. His parents gave you $30 for gas. Did you ever pay him back?
No.
We haven't made it that far
Okay.
yet.
What's next?
When they reached Cheyenne, Wyoming, I went up to Becky, knowing they had no money left, and said, would you rather me pay for the rest of your gas to get to Iowa since you have no more money left? And that was the new agreement.
Okay, and you had no money for, just a second, and you had no money for gas.
Right.
So how much did you pay for gas for their car?
Approximately around $200. And we also were paying for food, which was a new agreement, so we had no problem with that.
And we
What
are
was the
not
new-
suing for that.
Okay. So it's clear to me you had no money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had to borrow $30 from his parents. And how many days were you on the road after you borrowed $30 from his parents?
Less than a day.
Less than a day.
And then you got to the house?
No, we met in Cheyenne and we
Okay.
drove.
How many days was it that
were
you
on the
lived
road.
in the house?
We were there for a little
Day
over
and a half.
24 hours.
How much did you spend in gas? I'm trying to figure out if we've used up this $117.
We have receipts, Your Honor.
I'm asking you.
From what point, Your Honor? I don't understand.
From the point you ran out of money.
We ran out of money in Longmont to
How did
Iowa.
you eat? Who fed you?
We stopped for food once with them. And
What
that
about
was
when
it.
you got to the house? You said they put you
They
in a
had
room.
no food at
They
the
had-
house.
Yeah.
They had no electricity. We had to clean out the refrigerator.
Just a second. So how did you eat that day?
We didn't.
We went and bought them Pizza Hut.
Yes, we
We
had
bought
Pizza Hut.
them a whole bunch of food. The very next day, we also went out and bought them a big barbecue to have food, and we provided their baby with formula.
Does any of that sound right? You had no money.
No, ma'am.
How did your baby eat?
I had formula for him when I
Listen,
left
I'm not
Oregon.
bothering with this.
We-
They're not paying for your trip home. They're not paying for any of the moving expenses from Oregon to Iowa. They've already taken care of that. Now, you want to tell me, what about the value of personal property you say they kept? What personal property did they keep?
They pawned our television set and
TV. What happened to their television sets? The only
Yes, we did pawn it because she gave us every permission to sell all their stuff when they left, because they left and they had no intentions to come back, and she made sure that I
Yes,
kept
we
her
did, Your
green
Honor.
tub. She had a green tub full of personal belongings, like pictures, birthday cards, and stuff like that, that she had said meant so much to her. So I promised her and I swore to her we would not get rid of that stuff.
And for 2 days straight, it was, what do we do with your belongings?
That's
the
not
first
true, Your
night,
Honor.
it was...
He asked me
I don't,
how long I could keep we should keep it.
The first night, I understand everything was in an outrage. She had said, I don't care what you do with my stuff, just don't get rid of my big green bucket.
Now, how much did you sell the TV for?
Somewhere around $80-some is what we got for it at the pawn shop.
Okay. Now, let me hear your counterclaim.
We're suing because, or countersuing because James had made threats to us, to our vehicles, and
That's
to
not
our
true, Your
home
Honor. I don't want to
when
hear you
everything
from
turned
speaking.
violent and he was starting to push his way around, and we had to have him escorted off the property twice.
Your Honor.
Our neighbors...
When was that?
It had to been in August. I'd say around the 25th.
And you haven't seen him since?
No, we
Your
haven't.
Honor.
Shh, speak now. And you haven't had any contact with him in many months, is that right?
Nope, not except for
What
through
else?
you. And loss of wages is all we're suing
What loss
for.
of wages for what?
We think it is a waste to be here.
You should have said no.
Yeah.
What, no isn't part of your vocabulary?
No.
There you go. Somebody calls you and says, would you like to have your dispute resolved before Judge Judy Scheindlin? And you say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to miss work. There you go.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get nothing.
Ma'am.
Dippo.
That's cool.
Put the on the calendar in the matter of Falk versus Craig. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Falk, it is your claim that the defendant's daughter somehow got behind the wheel of a car that belonged to you while it was in a garage, drove it through the garage door, damaging the car. You want the defendant to be responsible for repairing the car, which is about $600. The defendant says that his daughter is not responsible and did not drive the car and was not responsible for the damage. You weren't there.
No, ma'am.
Your daughter was there.
That's correct.
So why don't you step up? Tell me your first name.
Kaylee.
All right, Miss Falk, where was your car?
My car was parked in my sister's private garage in Houston, Texas.
What was it doing there?
It was awaiting transport. My sister and niece moved down to El Paso, Texas, and we left the car there for my movers to pick it up at a later date. They were, at that time, taking my sister's car back.
It's actually within a garage?
Yes, ma'am. And I have pictures of that.
Can I see it?
Yes. That's the new garage he replaced.
The new door?
Yes, ma'am.
Who replaced the door?
Mr. Craig.
Good for you. How much did that cost you?
$420.
All right, Kaylee. You want to tell me how you got possession of this car?
My friend and I, Tammy, were going to her house.
Going to whose house?
Tammy's. And we saw these two guys, and they were emptying out the garage. And we went to go see, and they told us about the car being in there and how it had the keys in the ignition, and they didn't know what to do with the car. And
who were the two guys?
One said that he was his gardener, and the other said that he didn't say who he was.
Go ahead.
And they told us about everything, and so Tammy wanted to go see the car, and so we went in there, and as we were leaving, the guys gave us 2 scooters because they said that they were going to just take the stuff. They said something like, give it away or something like that. And then we left, and then Tammy wanted to go back. And so we went back, and she said that she wanted to go inside the car. And so we went inside the car, and she was in the driver's seat, and I was just in the passenger seat, and she turned on the car. And
how'd she get into the garage?
There's a door.
So you went in a door?
Mm-hmm.
So she turned on the car. Go ahead.
And she put it in reverse, and it jumped back and hit the garage.
Yeah.
That's all.
How old are you?
12.
So let's go back a little bit. You saw 2 men who were stealing property from this garage, is that right?
Yes.
And the 2 men who were stealing property from the garage told you that they were giving you 2 scooters, which you knew were stolen, is that right?
No.
You had to know they were stolen because you knew the 2 men were stealing property.
They said that Miss Tipton had called them.
Yeah. So that you knew when you took the 2 scooters. Now, where did you bring the scooters, by the way? Did you bring them to your house?
I brought one to my house, and Tammy took one.
You live there with your father?
My mom.
What did you tell your mother about where you got the scooter?
That this guy was packing away the stuff, and he gave it to us. And she said, okay.
When you went back there, according to you, with your friend Tammy, you knew you had no permission to go into the garage, isn't that right? You have to answer me. Shouldn't shake your head in court.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were committing a crime when you went in there, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you got into the car, you knew you had no permission to be in that car, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, it was Tammy who drove the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you went into the garage the first time with the men, you had the key to the car.
No, ma'am.
Did you ever have the key to the car?
Yes, ma'am. After Tammy had put it on my keychain.
When did Tammy put it on your keychain?
The second time that we were there.
Before or after she crashed the car? Before or after she crashed the car?
After.
Tell me about after. She crashed the car, and did you get frightened?
Yes.
What did you do?
I told her, Tammy, we better leave. We had no business to be here.
And you got out of the car?
Yes.
Tell me about how the key got on your key ring.
She put it on there.
You know what happens when you fib? Your nose gets longer. Doesn't make sense. Now, a lot of things make sense. Could possibly happen. You could have gone in there and it would have been just as you told me. That Tammy got behind the wheel of the car, Tammy drove the car, all of a sudden it crashes into the door, damages the door, but then you jump out of the car and you leave fast. You don't wait for Tammy to take the key out of the ignition, put it on your key ring. That doesn't make sense. Does that make sense to you, sir? No, of course not. Okay. Have you called Tammy, sir?
Yes, I have.
So, you sue Tammy. That's your job. If you feel as if your daughter is only partially responsible, you sue Tammy.
Your Honor, I feel like she's more responsible.
Well,
my defense is that there was no damage to the vehicle.
I've got pictures.
I requested pictures and never got any pictures.
You mean you crash a car into a garage door with sufficient force for you to replace the garage door, and you don't think there's any damage to the car?
I saw the car.
Your Honor, my niece is back in Houston again, and these two are in the same class at school, and she has admitted all this to my niece after I filed this lawsuit.
Really?
Yes.
Where's your niece?
Right here. Madeline.
You're Madeline?
Yes, ma'am.
You go to school together?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the conversation you had with this young lady.
Well, we usually talk at lunch because you're not allowed to talk in class. So she said they pulled off the top of the car, but they said there was no damage. But
They said there was no damage.
Kaylee said there was no damage to the car. So,
what else did she say?
She said they were in there they were in there twice over a period of 2 days.
Doing what?
Listening to the radio.
Would you show the defendant's father pictures of the car? Can I have your estimates, please?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get the top off the car, Kaylee?
Tammy read the instructions.
So it was all Tammy. What were you doing when she was reading the instructions?
I was taking it off.
You were taking it off?
Yes.
Listen, sir, consider yourself very lucky. It's your daughter's fault. If you feel as if Tammy is partially responsible, I suggest that you sue Tammy and her mother. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There's consequences when you do something wrong.
She was highly upset.
The father, I mean, that was a ridiculous story. How could he believe it?
She told me that she didn't do it, and finally the next day she told me that, yeah, we did it.
She made a mistake. She's sorry. It's over with. I don't think I should have been in the garage.
Take it to Judge Judy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soto versus Millet, be about. Step forward, please.
Retired construction worker Frank Soto is suing his sister, business owner Susan Millet, and her business partner Harold Beabout for stealing his disability checks while he was in jail. Susan and Harold are countersuing for the value of a car.
Mr. Soto, Miss Millet is your sister, is that right?
Yes, miss.
And Mr. Beabout is her boyfriend.
I'm not exactly...
Partner, boyfriend?
Something of that.
Something like that. You have several complaints against them. First, you say that your sister cashed and spent, for her own use, some of your disability checks while you were incarcerated.
Yes.
Then is your claim that when you got out of jail, you did some work for Mr. Beabout. And he promised to pay you for that work, and he never did.
Correct.
And the third thing is, you say that because they owed you all this money, they bought you a car.
Yes.
Instead of the money. And while you have the car, they refuse to give you the title to the car.
Yes.
Now, your sister says that you did, in fact, cash some of your disability checks because you asked her to pay some of your bills while you were in jail. Correct?
Yes.
Mr. Beabout does not address the work that you allegedly did for him, other than to say, Madam, you're playing with papers while I'm speaking, other than to say that they bought the car for you to use while you were doing work for them. And when you left, you took the car and they want their car back. Correct?
That's correct.
Yes, correct.
So let's deal with some simple questions first. When were you incarcerated, sir, that you claimed that your sister cashed your checks?
On 3/29/02, I was arrested for violating my conditions of parole. And I was released from custody on 9/25/02. And between that period, Social Security gave me documentation that checks were cashed in that period that she cashed without my consent.
How many checks did you cash for him?
I believe 2 with written consent and also with his words and receipts.
Well, let me see the written consent. According
It's
to you,
right
the
here.
defendant cashed 3 checks. Is that right, sir?
She cashed 5 of them.
I have additional documents here highlighted, what he requested for me to do with the money and also receipts of
Well,
words.
tell me what he requested that you do with the money.
He needed Sprint bills paid.
How much was the Sprint bill?
Oh, it was in excess of $400 and something.
Okay, so that's $400. What else?
To give my children $300, or one of my children, she goes to Disneyland with her orchestra from her high school in Sacramento.
Well, what did he say there?
To give her $300.
Madam, you cashed $3,375 in checks.
No, I cashed 2 checks for $675 each.
Mm.
And he further
Let's
states...
see where it says... You tell him that you're going to take some of his money.
Yes,
You tell
I
him that.
do.
You need desperately to borrow, in this letter, $300.
Okay, and it states in this letter here, the $300 that he lent, and said you don't have to pay it back. Harold's my current partner in our contracting business for paint and roofing. My partner prior to that was my boyfriend of 5 years.
I don't love this written in your sad story,
Well,
madam.
no,
You
he-
took his
but he-
money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you want to go back to jail, sir?
No.
Give him back the car.
We
Listen
did
to
not
me.
even want the car back.
You don't want the car back? I'll tell him not to give you the car back. What do you want?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Frank Soto says his sister Susan Millen and her partner Harold Beabout stole his disability checks. The two say Frank stole their car.
Madam, listen to me. How much did you take?
Well, 2 checks at $675, but some of the check, one of the checks was to go to my mother and to my children for their Disneyland school trip.
Stop
What
it.
says right here, and as I'm writing from the...
Stop it. What happens if he wasn't in jail? What would you have done?
Well, no, he wasn't entitled to the checks.
What do you mean he wasn't entitled to the checks?
While you're in prison, you cannot receive SSI checks.
So let me ask you a question. What happens when they go after him for the check? Is he going to come after your daughter and say, give me back the Disneyland
Oh, no, no, no.
trip?
We have paid him for those checks. And his
Oh, show me.
check,
How much did you pay him back?
more than what we borrowed. We paid him about $1,600. But
Just
his
a minute. How
check
much did you pay him
was
back?
stopped.
How much did she pay you back?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Show me. Just show me. It's your business. You have checks.
Well, it was cash. We were paying him cash through, and in these letters, he says, give the children the money. When he
Are
came
you
out of-
following me? I'm not interested in your letters. Give your children the money. I passed that. Show me.
We paid him cash because he was receiving SSI, and it was unfortunately a little under the table work.
Then I can't help you, my dear. So I am finding that you paid him back nothing of this $1,350 that you acknowledge you took from his checks that you acknowledge he wasn't entitled to. Because you say if he was in jail, he's not entitled to disability. So you knew that. You were swift to know that. And you took that money anyway. So $1,350 because Social Security is going to come after him, especially after they see this.
And they-
Now, quiet. Quiet. Now you tell me what you paid him. Because you want to tell me that he was able to do hard labor for you.
Correct.
Right? So tell me what he did for you.
That would have to be Harold, Mr. Beabout.
Harold, what did he do for you?
He wasn't on my payroll, Your Honor. He was not. He got out of prison, no money in his pocket.
His sister spent his money. That's why he had no money in his pocket.
That's family problem. I'm telling you what my problem. I don't owe him any money because I paid him. He come up and worked around my garage after I moved for 3 days, and I give him $100 a day out of my pocket to pay for meals and motel.
Okay.
And then
Just a minute. Stop. Did you work for him for 3 days? Don't lie. Did you work for him for 3 days?
I think more than 3 days.
Well, I don't care what you think.
Yeah,
You take
yeah,
drugs,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Right? So your brain might be a little bit fried. You worked for him at least 3 days.
Yes.
Did he give you $100 a day?
No.
Yes, he did. Yeah, sure he did. He gave you something.
Yeah, he did.
Well, how much did he give you?
He gave me 50 one time and 100 the third day.
Well, that you remember.
Yes.
That you remember. Okay. Tell me about this car.
Well, I bought the car, Your Honor. he was incarcerated when I bought that car. So I bought that car because I have a big van and I didn't want the gas hog. I wanted something economy to ride around in. So he gets out, and he don't have no wheels. He has to go to the doctor. He's got to go to his parole officer and all that. I loaned him the wheels to drive around. And he was with me the day I took my pickup in to the garage, and he knew I had to have it in there on a Friday. So Friday, he takes the car, and that's the last I seen of him, Your Honor.
Now I'll hear you. Tell me about the car, sir.
The deal was my sister and both of them, the deal was for what the money they owed me, this was partial compensation by giving me that car because they know I needed a car. And she said this will be just partial payment and we'll pay the rest as soon as possible. And
you just made that up as you're going along.
No.
Yeah, you did. You sure you did?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Okay. Listen to me. He wants to go back to jail. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go back to jail. He's going to go back to jail $1,350 richer because that's what you owe him for taking his money. You don't owe him anything. I believe that you did, in fact, pay him when he worked for you for the 3 days. And I don't believe that you bought him a car. So he's got to return the car. If he doesn't return the car, he's operating it without the permission of the owner. That's an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle for which he can go back to jail. Do you want to go back to jail, sir?
No.
Give him back the car.
He's going to need a tow truck for it because the transmission's gone on it.
Oh,
so he can have it.
We did not even want the car back. We would be afraid to get in the vehicle. The car was in perfect condition.
Let me explain something to you. He's not giving you $3,000 for the car. You don't want the car back? I'll tell him not to give you the car back. What do you want?
Well, we wanted the value of the car. Now
you're not getting that.
There won't be a value.
Understand? You're not getting that.
Okay. Well, I'm also trying to show you receipts of my name on it and his name that I put money on his prison books for money they can have while incarcerated.
How much?
There's 2 receipts.